Let's go. Let's do it. All right, guys. Welcome for the great Deadlock debate. We are here for another episode of the Group Up podcast, and I'm very excited for our inaugural Deadlock debate. I don't know how many of these there will be, so whether it's the first and the last, or the first of many, let me introduce my cast. My old homies. We brought them back. They're all Overwatch converted to Deadlock. So let's go around and introduce. In the bottom right, must declare that he is not a Blizzard employee. He is now a Deadlock lover. Jake Overwatch. Jake, how you doing?
I'm good. I choose to believe that I can love both Overwatch and Deadlock simultaneously.
That's not how gaming works. You have to pick a side. You have to go really vitriolic for everything else.
You have to hate everybody else. It's really important.
You got to
That's not really
share
what I'm
the
about,
stream
but-
numbers, the Steam numbers. Like, you just got to post those screenshots all the time. Okay. Well,
Hey,
another...
Deadlock numbers going up. They're going up, you know.
The stomps.
I actually don't know Overwatch numbers, but
Well, since he's introduced himself in some ways, we'll go to the
Sorry.
bottom left. No, it's all good. There's no vow of silence here. In the bottom left is my man Fitzyhere. How are you doing?
that's me right there. I'm doing great, doing grand. You know, been enjoying Deadlock. We get patches. You know, Overwatch has been good too. Of course, you know, there's like 5 new heroes, 6th one coming soon or whatnot. But yeah, Deadlock's been great. Been a Valve enjoyer for a long time. I mean, I love Blizzard and Valve, so you know, it's great to have the Dota Overwatch Deadlock. So yeah, glad to be here.
This is true. What you guys don't know is that like 3 out of 4 of us were trioing in Dota for a period of time because that was our MOBA of choice. It didn't last long because at that time I was like plat and these two were like both in essentially the equivalent of like master. They were shit.
What?
Divine.
That's
I still play
equivalent of like
Dota.
Grandmaster. Come on.
Okay,
come on,
Grandmaster.
don't load them.
I'm like rank 3K in NA now, so I
Okay.
continue to play Dota.
Whoa.
Man's grinding.
I haven't touched Dota in a minute.
I
It's been a
tried
minute.
playing. I got a new keyboard and I tried playing Dota, but it's like a 60 keyboard, so it doesn't have the F keys. So it was an absolute nightmare. I hadn't
You don't use
accounted
function
for
key?
it.
What do you use the function keys
Same.
For like the
control
career, the
groups, or-
shop, the
The
like
shop, quick
the courier,
buy.
the shop, the quick buy.
True. But you
Pause.
get really good if you use 60% long enough. You get good at using the FN.
Yeah, I had to rebind in the middle. So I was playing Mars, and I'd have to like throw a spear out and then like quickly rebind my control group so I could actually like micro shit. It was a nightmare. Anyways, the one person
Don't
not
give
in
this
that
man
quad,
Meepo.
the one person not in the quad, who is very patiently, very silently be waiting for us to shut up, is Eskay. Eskay, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm Eskay. I'm doing great. I have ascended into a different body, and I now have a normally sized head.
Very cute head and butterflies. How do you get them to stay?
They're just my friends. We hang out. They
They
can turn
choose.
red too.
Yo,
This is
that's
like
so
angry,
cool. Angry SK.
mode.
Oh my gosh.
Or I can lose my hair.
Oh,
You look like an infant.
This only happens when I'm on a big loss streak.
you look
though.
like an infant. Yeah.
Little baby.
Well, let's get to the meat of the substance, and as we always do, we'll try and go with like some introductory, brief thoughts because I want to get where you guys are on Deadlock. Basically, like I said, we've all migrated to this game to varying extents. I know all you guys have been grinding, so I want to hear your thoughts. And just as a setup for listeners, this podcast, I'm going to try and start off as accessible as possible. Like, we're going to start off really big picture so that if you're someone who's like, I have very little idea what Deadlock is, like I've only really heard of the game and I've maybe barely played it or never played it, I want to give you an idea of what to expect from Deadlock. And then the longer the call goes on, the more we're going to get a bit more like in-depth. For those of you guys who already play and like Deadlock and want some more, you know, talk about the game state and balance and format and all these like, you know, in the weeds discussions. So starting big picture, just where do you guys feel the state of Deadlock is right now? So I'm going to go with Eskay first. So Eskay, in a brief, you know, it doesn't have to be too long, brief, how do you describe the state of Deadlock right now for you personally?
Oh, just it's still very new. I have no idea how close we are to release. I feel like right now it's some secret underground game that if you know it's good, you know, you're like you have ball knowledge, but not everyone knows yet.
They do not. And how are you finding your relationship with the game? Because I know you've kind of, like you were kind of a bit anxious. I will say, like, you're a bit anxious when I hit you up for this call because you were like, I don't know, SAB, like I'm not that knowledgeable on Deadlock. And the irony is I was watching your guides on how to play the game as you're saying this to me. I'm like watching Eskay's guides on like how to move and how to play and all this, and Eskay's like, I don't know shit about the game. But your relationship has been a bit perhaps different to Jake and Fitzy, right? These guys have been really at Deadlock, I think, from the beginning. You've kind of come in and out. So how are you finding it at the moment? Like, how do you rate the game at the moment?
Well, okay, for the last few months, I've been completely addicted. I slowed down a little bit, but ever since the 6 new heroes came out, the old gods patch, I've been locked in. It's amazing. I don't know.
That's great. It's good to hear that you're locked in. So you kind of, you're just in the zone right now, right? Like it's grabbing your attention maybe in a way that it ceased to at a certain point in time.
Yeah, I really want to hit the highest rank. I'm obsessed with my rank right now, for better or for worse.
This is the classic Eskay phase. You do this with we did this with Valorant. You did this with Street Fighter and fighting games, and surely only a matter of time now with Deadlock.
And then I get bored and move on, and hopefully that doesn't happen.
It is the way. Okay, so now I'm going to talk to the no-lifers. So Fitzy, how do you describe the sort of state of Deadlock right now? Like, how is it for you?
I mean, it feels like very early Overwatch, honestly. Like there's just not just in the game, but just like the community, the complaints, if you will, the passion for it, of like the drive to want it to be X. And the interesting thing is there's so many people from so many different games that are kind of trying to pull it in different directions. You know, you've got the League of Legends versus Dota. You've got the Overwatch. You've got like Valorant people coming in. You've got old like Halo people coming in. There's all these like varying different things. And it's good and bad that there's a lot of different people, because like there's a lot of, not necessarily conflict, but a lot of opinions on what is right and how the game should be. Not only should be played, but should be balanced on like, I don't know, you have the Overwatch debate of the crowd control, and like now there's these items though, and Overwatch people are like, whoa, you can counter by items, like and then there's the MOBA people that are like, you gotta farm like this, and Dota people are like, you gotta die for the farm, and League of Legends is like, stay in your lane, and like there's all these different conflicting opinions on how to play the game and what is right. And anyways, I think it's in a pretty good spot in terms of progressing. Obviously, as they add new heroes, they're kind of figuring out how fast do they want the game to end. Is it a 20-minute game? Is it a 40-minute game? Should there be surrender? No. And then it's just a culmination of so many different people from different genres. So yeah, to sum this up, we're kind of in an early stage of Overwatch feel where there's a lot of passion, and it's almost like pre-release Overwatch, like Eskay said, of like not being like it's this underground game or whatever. It's like if you want to play, you can very easily get access. Like, hey, add me. Okay, I'm in. It's not like it's like difficult, but it's just hard enough that like the plebs or like the normies won't like just boot it up and play it because I have to get an invite from somebody. Oh God, it's gonna take me forever. So yeah, I mean we've seen it in every patch, just the growth of going up and down of from the initial release and every new batch of heroes, that there's more and more people that are interested in every wave, just like Eskay coming in the most recent 6 heroes.
Yeah, and me like 2 weeks ago. So it's coming. It's all the crowd is coming. It'll be good because we got people of different stages here. Almost like I planned these things. I'm kind of relatively brand new. Eskay is kind of coming in and out. Fitzy, you've kind of been playing as a streamer and a player, and then Jake, you've been kind of both playing and esports side. So we kind of got a good mix, I think, of different experiences, which will be good. Now, I've left Jake for last, not because I despise him, which, although true, is because
I
Jake...
was taking it personally until you said that, so...
What I want from you, Jake, so 2 things. I want your personal opinion on the state of Deadlock, but I also want you to explain to anyone, like I said, who's really just like has very little understanding of Deadlock, just maybe has heard the name or whatever. How would you actually describe Deadlock? Because a lot of people, I think, miscategorize it and missell it as like what it is. So like, how would you actually describe it, and how do you describe your feelings towards it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing to say about Deadlock in general, which is kind of where I want to start, to your point about, hey, if you've never played the game before, you've seen a little bit, you just don't know what to think about it, because it really it's I think a first time for the genre that we've seen a game like this. I don't really think that there is any game you could compare it to. You look at some other like shooter slash MOBAs. Like some people talk about Smite as like a little bit, but it just feels so different. Smite, I think the game feeling wise, like what it feels most similar to, I think it's actually more of a hero shooter than a MOBA in terms of what skills really matter. Like to be honest, if you're a really strong hero shooter player and you can like move and shoot, you could have really bad macro and you will just like destroy people in fights and get kills, and like you just, I mean, you're not going to be Eterna 6 from that, right? Like you need to understand all the elements of the game to be really, really good. But I think honestly, it's probably more transferable skills come to hero shooters than any other genre. But then I think it brings in the MOBA in a way that no one's ever really done. You know, it's like full on MOBA. There's a full item shop, the full economy, and so once you reach the level where everybody's pretty good at moving and everybody's pretty good at shooting, now the MOBA aspect becomes like really, really huge. I mean, arguably it's always pretty huge, but again, like because movement is so important in the game, like even if you're doing the right thing from a macro perspective, like you're at the right place on a map, in a conventional MOBA, if you're at the right place in the map and you want to like run away, it's not I mean, there's some skill involved in like doing that thing, like I want to run away to my tower, you know. But in Deadlock, it's like you could be twice as fast speed wise if you're a better player, if you have better movement mechanics. So that's why I think it's kind of a hero shooter first, despite all the MOBA elements. That the fact that there's a huge, like MOBA, there's very little skill in walking from point A to point B. Like realistically, there's subtleties if you're really advanced, but I think you're splitting hairs to say that. Where Deadlock has like anywhere you go in Deadlock, you could do it a little bit faster and like a little bit cleaner. And even people like us who've been playing a ton probably are really aware, like, oh, there's always more to be had in terms of more perfect movement. And so, yeah, it kind of reminds me of games like TF2, which was like my first competitive game in terms of the movement is so central to everything you do. And when you add in MOBA elements, now it's like, hey, you can farm faster if you can move faster. So everything in the game ultimately ties back to those hero shooter moving and shooting. So if you like those games like longer time to kill, moving and shooting at the same time, I think that's for me what Deadlock is at its core. That's what I would say to like a new player. Like play Street Brawl, you will know how the game feels. There's a lot more subtlety in the real game than in Street Brawl, but in terms of the economy and the splitting lanes, different team fights, such, but you get a feel for the game, which I think is really good that they added that mode. It's the most accessible way to like, for a first timer, I would say like play 10 games of Street Brawl minimum, play different characters, see what you like, and then start thinking about the real game, quote unquote, with the economy and the lanes.
That's very interesting. I'm actually curious at that point to hear from the others, because I know, because I sort of saw Fitzy also raise his eyebrows, because I'm not sure I would describe Deadlock that way, but your points are very salient. Like I think that's actually a really pertinent point about how much like the movement and execution matters, because I think different people struggle with different elements of the game, right? Like everyone I talk to, people who come into my chat, they're all kind of like, as someone with zero MOBA experience, this is unbelievably alien to me. And then there's people who are like, as a MOBA player, the movement and all the shooting is alien. So I'm actually curious. Eskay, unfortunately, I couldn't tell if your expression changed, but let's go to you first.
Get the red butterflies.
Yeah, you got a really red butterflies. You want me to know you're unhappy. You need to take your hair off and go baby mode, baby rage.
Whoa, yeah, I can do that.
So, how, like, would you agree with that description of like what Jake just described as like what is Deadlock in a way? Because I think it's actually a good discussion point. Like, what even is it?
Yeah, I agree. It's so intricate. I think the addition of movement and all of these hero shooter-esque mechanical things is what is making the game so addicting to me. And I've always been curious, because my experience, this is my first MOBA ever. So my experience is that of a hero shooter player coming over and being incredibly stupid, but still winning because I'm better at fighting than people. But I've always been so curious what a really good MOBA player who's never played FPS, what that experience would look like. Such an interesting topic to dive and think about.
Fitzy, any your thoughts as someone who's kind of really just been good in both genres?
I mean, I've played various genres at at high level, never like, the top, but obviously very good. And yeah, I mean, I feel like the MOBA aspect of what I was talking about earlier of, there's so many genres that are coming into this. You have fighting game people coming in here. And like
Mm.
the fact that you have to parry,
Yeah.
like someone's just really good at parrying and they're gonna win the lane and like maybe that momentum leads them. But what's really
Dude,
cool is that you can sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I have a friend who's a professional player in Guilty Gear, and he came to this game and he plays Billy. And when you lane with him, he gets like multiple parries every game. He's it's crazy. It's so cool.
And
And
that's
then there's
that like
people in my elo who just like trade punches for 10 hours like boxers, and,
Burger
and
box.
not a single one of us parries because we're just like, oh shit, I should have parried.
and yeah, I mean I think it's about taking your skills and doing well at what you excel at from like bring in your skills from the other game that you're coming from and trying to find that hero that kind of excels in that. Definitely playing this game without any MOBA experience. I mean, I'm sure Eskay's gone through it, but like there's items are this foreign concept. Now, there is the fact that there's like, oh, I follow build left to right, and you go through. But then you run into farming, you got a box routes, you got wave pushing, you've got like there's so many mechanics in MOBAs that like you can have your teammates deal with, and you can like, excel like at the hero shooter aspect, but you really have to find that hero that suits you for what you're really good at and what you really excel at. And yeah, I mean, I'm curious, SK, obviously you played more of the movement heroes of,
Hmm.
the Celeste and the Mina that are like, oh, I'm doing the wall bounce and flying, whatever stuff. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's part of the game, but I'm not like, oh, let me bounce off the walls like 17 times. I love doing that. Like, as a Lucio player, obviously you were drawn to that aspect of the game. And I'm like, how do I like strategize and manipulate the enemy team and my team and da da
the
da da. Like
mastermind.
that's what I've always tried to kind of excel at because that comes from my RTS background of this strategy and how do you manipulate the whole game as a whole as opposed to like single situations. And obviously there's the people that are very good at aiming and like they just take every 1v1 because they can hit the headshots on repeat. Yeah, I don't remember what the original question was. I'm rambling.
Hey guys, SEB here, and welcome back to the Group Up podcast. The podcast is back for the short term, but its long-term future remains undecided. If you'd like to support this content and want to see the continued release of episodes, then please consider supporting the podcast directly. You can sign up to the SVP Patreon for a monthly pledge or make a direct one-time donation via PayPal, the links to both of which will be in the video description and the pinned comment to this video. Every contribution, big or small, really helps my content keep going, so if you've enjoyed the podcast now or in the past, then please do consider supporting. Otherwise, I just want to thank you for watching and listening, and I hope you'll keep enjoying this content. And to that end, back to the discussion. We were just describing how you would describe Deadlock. SK, I'm going to treat your baldness as a hand up. So what's
Yes,
on your mind?
my hand is raised. I think the game's still so early on, and everyone's still learning so much that you can all in your points into like 2 or 3 categories that you're good at and completely ignore the rest of the game and still be insanely good. Like I'm at Turnus 3 right now, and I buy left to right on build guides. And sometimes I forget to buy my green spikes and then get flamed. But I'm good at the movement and fighting, and that carries me really far. And I think that's awesome.
And I think that is a good way to summarize it. I think it really does. In what Fitzy said as well, like it's kind of like early Overwatch where people are coming at it from different genres and they bring a different skill set. And the cool thing about the game is that there are characters that lean into different skill sets that you can find. That there's the M1 carries. If you just want to shoot all day, just pick the M1 carries, and you're just gonna shoot through everybody by the end of the game. And then there's the I kind of gravitate more towards the spirit heroes because I like more of the spell casting rather than the straight up shooting. And again, I think for me, I probably fall back more on the MOBA mechanics, like when shit goes badly, because sometimes like I don't even know the hero, so I just troll in the lane, and I'm like, all right, time to disappear off the map for 10 minutes, and I'll come back like the most farmed hero in the team. Like that's what I default to. So I think it's like everybody has their own approach, and I think it's great that hopefully for anyone listening who's like, whether should I play Deadlock or not? Hopefully that gives you a good spread to understand that like it kind of depends what background you have. The only thing I would say in general, and I have been saying to people, is like be prepared to be overwhelmed because this game is hugely overwhelming and it is not your fault if you feel overwhelmed. Like if you get in, you're like, what the hell? Like this is like unbelievable, all the things I have to do, especially when you start watching guides. It's like the Dunning-Kruger a little bit, because when you just play, you're like, whatever, I'm doing fine. And then you start watching guides and people are like, so at 4 minutes, you need to start going here. You need to go to these boxes. Then at 5 minutes, you need to go jump over for the boon. And then at 6 minutes, you need to come back and shoot this. Shove the wave so that at 8 minutes, it's like, bro, please. So there's a lot. There's a lot. That leads me to talk about the next thing, unless anyone has anything they want to add on this topic at the moment. No, we're good. Okay, so I'm going back to Jake now.
Oh, sorry. One thing. The just comparing the different genres and coming into the game and being overwhelmed and whatnot. So the MOBA aspect of people coming in and talking about how the hero shooters thing is that in a MOBA, you're top down. You can kind of,
right,
we'll say relatively easily read everything that's happening. Relatively. In Deadlock, like there's people above you, under you, they're underground, they're in the tunnels, they're on their side, they're invisible, they're on they're everywhere. And so the Overwatch aspect of that, or a hero shooter or whatnot, where you're calming on what's happening and like who's low and who should we target, what ability's been used, and being able to process that very quickly is something that in playing Dota, I never really, it's like, let's gank. Like that was the comms. It's just like, I'm coming to gank, like I'm gonna stun, then you stun. That's it. That's the comms. Whereas in Deadlock, it's like you have that very like stuff changes very quickly. This ability's on cooldown. Go. That Overwatch we're so used to. Of like, all right, Suzu's down. Get in there. It's time to go. So that's something that I think the mobile players, I almost said mobile, MOBA players coming in probably struggle with a little bit.
I mean, sounds good in theory. I can't relate because essentially my game comms are like 20 minutes of quiet and then 5 minutes when we're losing. There's this Russian screaming in my ear because Valve game moment. Europe Valve game moment. Okay, so I'm going to take it back to Jake now because now, we kind of talked about how potentially overwhelming Deadlock is, how many different genres it blends, which leads me to talk about where will it stand as a game and as a potential, like, what is going to be its market reach? What's the sustained power when Deadlock releases? Now, of course, we don't know when that is. I don't think, anyways, unless someone's got some secret information. We don't know when that is. We don't know what state it's going to be in. But let's say that it releases in somewhat like the form it is now, right? Or you think you know what improvements it'll make before it releases, and you're like, okay, this is what it'll look like. Yeah, what's it going to be like as like a competitor? Is it going to be top of the charts? Is it going to sit there and dethrone a bunch of the big titles? Is it going to be somewhere in the middle? Is it going to be a very niche game? Jake, how do you view its position?
Yeah, I think it's honestly, I'm pretty bullish on Deadlock, which I have been for a long time. Mostly just because I think there's something for everyone. I think to everyone's point about like partly, I think my own perspective is a little warped. The way I look at the game of like, oh, like at the highest level, the thing that will really differentiate you is like mechanical excellence, because you can get pretty far with the MOBA fundamentals and getting like a little bit better at MOBA things. I mean, partly it's just has fundamentally different mechanics than MOBAs, but again, I digress. Ultimately, this is a question about what makes the best players the best, which I think going to be more about your movement and your aiming than other mechanics at the very, very top level. But for the main like 95% of players, which is like, this is the player base, this is what determines if the game is successful, right? There's going to be like hardcore players no matter what. What about like, people coming from different genres? How willing are they to try it? I think the fact that the game has a pretty respectable player base, when I know he said like, look, it's easy to get a Steam invite, but I'm sorry, it's actually crazy in this day and age that you have to get a Steam invite to like, you can't just like click download. You know what I mean? Like the barrier to entry on a modern free-to-play game is like almost zero. It's like, do you have an internet connection? Like that's what it is. And so to even need to be like, you feel like you need to know somebody. I mean, still to this day on Night Shift, there'll be people in the Twitch chat saying like, can somebody give me an invite? Which is like, you're going to Twitch chat to like ask for an invite to a game that, there's a few 100,000 people. Like I don't know what the monthly players are, right? But like the the current active players are like 60, 70K or something. So, okay, it's insane that there's that many people playing active right now. It's like, let's say, I don't know, it's like a top 20 something like esports game when you can't play without a Steam invite. I think is a little crazy. I doubt they've spent a single dollar on marketing yet. And I feel like Steam, because it's Valve, they can like flick the switch and send an ad to like every Steam user for free because it's their platform. So I think they're like the game has done so well in such a with all the limitations on it right now, which I think are pretty significant, that you have to get a Steam invite and there's no advertising, and it is like still a niche game. The fact that it's done as well as it has, that it's brought in people from every different gaming community, I think is a really strong sign. I think the game could do better than people think. I think it could be really popular. Is it going to be like number one? I don't know, but I don't look at it that way. The way I look at it is like, is this game going to be like a 10-year hit? And that's where I think the answer is yes. I don't know about like how high the peak is going to be. Frankly, I'm not that worried about it, but I do think this is going to be a game that has staying power, that like builds a fan base that endures over time. And for me, I think that's like, honestly, that's like, as a player, I think that's what you care about more, right? Like a lot of these games that recently, think about like High Guard or whatever, it's like flash in the pan and then it like just burns out and there's just no one playing. And because it's a multiplayer game, it's just dead. Like it just doesn't exist unless there's a community. And I just don't think there's any risk of that with Deadlock, that the community is already here, even in the limited state that the game is. So even if the game launches like today with 0 changes and like all the creeps are like the same little alien blob guys, like, which I don't think is, I don't think the game's gonna launch
They're
like
candles. Oh, the minions. I mean, yeah, the neutrals.
like the jungle creeps, right? The lane creeps, I think look pretty good. Like I think those are like ready to launch. But the jungle creeps are like these little eye monsters.
They were
and
snowmen
the
at one
mid-boss.
point.
Exactly, right? So I do think there's like certain assets that are gonna finish. I think they'll do like skins probably before the game drops. I have no inside information. That's just what I expect. Like they're gonna have a way to monetize the game before they launch it. So I think there's probably some time before a real launch goes off. But I just think the game is gonna have that long-term staying power, and it's gonna be around for a long time in esports, because anyone who's really gotten into it knows there's something really special about the core mechanics, and then you add the MOBA element on top of that, and you're like, it's one of those games where I think it's pretty obvious that like 1 year from now, people are going to look back to like the current competitive professional play and be like, oh, we were so bad. That's like Overwatch was. We look back to like early competitive Overwatch, we're like, wow, we were so terrible at the game. We were all so bad at it. But we thought at that time that was like that was the cutting edge. You would be the world champion at that skill level. And now that skill level is like mastered in like modern Overwatch, like, which is just a crazy reality, right? That the game has so much room to improve that literally no one is close to being, truly great or reaching the skill ceiling where, you see that in game like CS, maybe 10 years from now, people will be.
Very, very well put. Must emphasize that he is not an employee of Valve, listeners. This is not a paid for plug. Any doubters in the call? Any doubters, Fitzy, Eskay, doubters in the chat?
We kind of picked a bad group for doubters.
Well, let me put it this way then. Maybe you could have some. Let me frame it, and I'll allow Fitzy and Eskay to respond to this. One concern that I potentially see, again, I think as my experience as a relatively new player, is I think that there's a absolute chasm between the brand new casual and the current no life community of Deadlock, right? And I think it's not a huge problem per se, but I do think it's a problem, which is that the current community of Deadlock is like so far outstripped. Like the people who have been playing it for like a year, 2 years now, however long it's been out, have like reached this point that's like so far in the horizon to somebody who's like brand new, that I wonder if when it launches, it's like almost you're like two different communities. Like I know every game has a big difference between, the pros are way better than the casuals, but at launch, it's not that stark, right? At launch, it's like, okay, well, there's, people who are better with other games, and there's the casuals. But in this game, it's like, there's the casual who's like sniffing glue, who's just like, what is the parry mechanic? And then there's the guys who are like, so you gotta like wall bounce, keep your momentum, B-hop, and then like, oh, you can't do this. Like I was describing this to chat the other day to kind of give an example of what I mean. I was like, I picked up the urn, I'm carrying the urn, and then I'm almost delivered it. Some guy punches me, like quickly light melees me, makes me drop. And then he's doing a thing, and I try to parry to like count. I think he was either counter spelling or parrying his punch. and it didn't come out. And I was like, what happened, chat? Why couldn't I parry? And they're like, oh, when you drop the urn now, there's a cooldown for how long you parry. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And they're like, oh, well, that goes back to when you had to heavy melee to drop the urn, and so people were like dropping the urn in anticipation of someone heavy meleeing, and then you would quickly parry. And I was like, that's just fucking dumb. This dumb as shit, bro. Like, why do I need to know that like 3 patches ago they patched it so now you can light melee the urn, but now you can't, that remnant of the cooldown of the parry still being there. And it's like, it drove me mad. I was like, how on earth am I supposed to know that? And if I didn't have a chat telling me that that's just what happened, I would just be perplexed to the nth degree to be like, why did that not work? And there's like 50 things like this in Deadlock. So to round it out, I think that there's a potential problem there, which is that like there's almost like 2 different games that are being played. Like there are 2 different worlds that are being spoken about, where the content creators, the pros, they're like in this completely different space where Deadlock to them is like, I think they buffed this guy 2% too high, and like I think this item is like, you know, a little bit high value than the price cap it's in. And then there's the new guy who's like, so how do I like wall bounce again? Like what's the air dash thing? So with that in mind, I'm bringing it back to the original question. I'll take it to Eskay first and then Fitzy.
Yay!
How do you view
Oh,
the game's position as a potential, you know, like market space if and when it launches? And like, do you view any problem in the idea that there's going to be this big discrepancy between the casual and the pro?
I do. I remember talking about this long ago before I even came back for the most recent patch. I was like, it's gonna be so crazy when this game comes out. You've never played it before, and there's a guy with 4,000 hours just like flying around you. But that's not gonna happen. Like you'll never play against those people. Um, and while you were talking, it just made me think of Street Fighter 6. When the game came out, for like a year before it dropped, there was a crack version that like the game was accidentally leaked and you could download it and play it. And there were people that put like 1,000, 2,000 hours into the cracked version before the game ever came out. And when the game came out, of course, they dominated the tournaments, right? But within like 5, 6 months, a year, they were just eclipsed and irrelevant. Like everyone surpassed them. And I think the level that people can climb in a game, the speed at which they can do that is dependent on how good the player base is, right? Like it takes so long for the people who are at the very top to discover new things and discover what's better. But when it's out and they already have all that information, you can just watch them and be like, oh, that's correct. And then you can learn so much faster. I think also completely irrelevant to that topic, the like the game is magical, of course, and it's very difficult to get into, but the hero design and just the world of Deadlock has me obsessed, and I think it has a lot of other people obsessed too. I'm seeing so much cosplay, so many people who are getting into it just because they think the characters are cool. I've watched every single voice line video, which I've never done for any other game. I'm like obsessed with the heroes. I want to cosplay them. It's just so cool. Ah.
Not 2 very
I
good
like
and astute points. Go ahead, Jake.
I just want to add, like, I think it's really, really important too. Like, we talked a lot about gameplay stuff so far, and about like, oh, like who's going to be good at this? What's the competitive implications of that in terms of like your experience as a player? But I think that's like maybe a more important point from SK about the popularity of the game is like the Valve just has like such an incredibly talented art team, and they're historically just so free with like you can do whatever you want. You know, these characters are like have all these like complicated relationships, and it's like dramatic, and the characters are like truly, you know, they run the full gamut of like, this is like a cute girl character, you know, and you know, people like that, and then they're like, this guy is a giant humanoid goat, you know, it's like there's it feels like there's like freedom to make for the artist to kind of do whatever they want with the characters, um, where I mean. Like I know, I think some of the criticism on Overwatch has been a little unfair about some of this, but I think it's just a reality that for most studios, things are a little bit more like focus grouped, you know what I mean? To be like, and things end up being feeling a little more samey. Where I feel like in Deadlock, there's a lot of characters that's like seems like it was just like somebody's brainchild. Somebody was like, I'm gonna do this crazy thing, and I don't know. It's like where I look at like Viscus, and I'm like, who would make this character? It's like so silly and so absurd. He's like a cute little guy made of goo, and like the personality of the character is so strange. He's like a little alien. But I love it. I think this is such a you know funny and lovable character, and yet something that's like so odd. And I think the freedom that Valve gives the artist to cook just is like so perfect for Deadlock. It ends up this really eclectic, interesting universe that it doesn't feel like anything else in the market, you know, like and it feels like it's like way over there compared to everything else. It feels like, oh, it's like things are more cohesive and like, you know, like some of the you could look at two characters from two different games and be like, okay, yeah, these are sort of similar type characters. There's a bunch of Deadlock characters. I don't think you can make any kind of like, oh, this is that character from another game. It's like, no, this is just something really bold and artistic and new. And I think that draws people in who, irrespective of the gameplay, like who cares about the gameplay? Viscous is cool, you know, like that's not me as a player. I care a lot about the gameplay, but there are a lot of people who I think that is why, partly why they would enjoy it.
Yeah, I think great points from both you, and to only add, and then I will let Fitzy chime in if he has anything to say on any of these topics. But I think that like this is gonna sound like an insult, and it's only slightly meant to be, but it's like the game isn't designed for Zoomers, which is what I think a lot of current like multiplayer games in particular, they're like, how do we reach these keys? You know, like how do we design a character that is, you know, like for the 15-year-old spending their parents' money watching TikToks, like how will they, and it's like super surface level, like they all do the same generic jokes. Oh shit, we lost Eskay. She got the Zoomer hit. The Zoomers came for her. Sorry,
She's
Eskay,
back.
the Zoomers got you. You're back.
My bad.
Whereas I feel like that's all good. Whereas I feel like I think to summarize it again, a great example is Celeste, who I think is like a character that if was in a different game would be far more like one dimensional, right? Is on the surface she has these beats of what would be a very generic like Disney princessified character. Like she's a unicorn, she like, you know, is like a ballet kind of circus act, dances and flips and is pretty. But then also it's like, firstly, she's got tattoos, which is like unusual because it's like it pushes away from the Disney princess stereotype, right? It's like the thing that would upset like a really mollycoddling parent. But then also she's got like this sarcasm and like more of like a, you know, a muddied background, right? She's like from a, like the circus is more like a runaway and she's a bit like beaten and bruised but still optimistic, and you know there's like the really distinct New York accent, and she's less a Disney princess and she's more Harley Quinn, which I think is perhaps the best way to summarize her. And I think that's what like Deadlock brings, that energy to everything. Like all the banter is very genuine and well written, not just like generic like ha 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 gotcha sucker, like, you know, like just the really like lame Marvel Rivals, no offense but some offense, like banter. So I think they're doing a great job on it, and I hope they continue down that vein. Now, Fitzy, there was a lot brought up there, so feel free to go in whatever direction you feel. In just the general idea, yeah, your big brain, you got it all. You got points rattled off for each section. Deadlock and its position when it potentially launches. Go.
Before then, so we're talking about hero creation and whatnot. Do you think Valve with Dota also kind of is that like, yeah, we'll just make whatever to my two Dota people? You know, like there's a lot of heroes from a varying-ish design.
Yeah, I mean,
right? It's
Dota's
not all
also
just, like,
weird
humanoid.
because a lot of the characters are like historical, right? Like a lot of them are like, this was a Warcraft asset that we
Right,
put into
exactly.
All Stars that we need to now like remodel for Dota 2. So I mean, that's why like most of the heroes in Dota, right, are from, probably it's more than half. I think that must be true, right? They're
Yeah.
from the Dota All Stars era. So it's a little interesting, but I think to your point, it's like there's weird characters in Dota. You know, there's like techies or something. It's just like a freaking disturbed character.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if you look at, sorry, just to quickly, I think, I mean, firstly, Dota don't release that many heroes anymore, so it's kind of hard to comment on like not as Jake said, non-remnant heroes. But if you do look at some of the modern releases, they're quite oddball. You know, there's like Ringmaster, there's Kaz, Primal Beast. Like these aren't really like, if you were designing again a focus group tested hero, this isn't what would come to mind. Where it's like, it's a bird man who, you know, like whatever, like, and then there's like again another carnival theme. Maybe there's someone in like the Valve who really loves carnivals. So yeah, I think Deadlock is much better at it, but even Dota does this.
So talking on the point of like the status of the game and can it succeed and whatnot, and what I was saying about how it feels like early Overwatch is a lot of like, it's not just the gameplay, it's also the community, the listening to voice actor stuff, just like being involved with the character and the world and like the lore and stuff. And it's not that they're like aggressively pushing the lore. It's not like there's a cinematic to watch, which we all, I mean, if there was, of course we'd watch it. Come on,
I'm
let's have
sure they
another
will.
Netflix something, you know.
I mean, they did
But
it like decades ago with TF2, right? They kind of pioneered some of that like crazy
yeah.
marketing cinematic stuff.
Oh
So
yeah.
So I think the community is in a spot that like can absorb that, and people that are playing it casually can enjoy the game while enjoying that. It's not just a game that like, oh, I just have to enjoy the gameplay. Obviously, I'm somebody who's like, I don't need any skins. I can enjoy the game. If the game's good, cool. But something that Valve or Deadlock or whatnot that I like about it, which obviously not everyone can be in this situation, is that they have infinity money, you know, like they're making this game for the long run to be good. They're not trying to like, let's make a game real quick and sell skins and cool, we made money, so now we can keep doing it. It's like, we have money. Let's let's make a good game because we know that it will do well eventually. Like, but they have all of those resources. And that's obviously, you know, Valve being in the position that they're in. But that's what I feel like they're not trying to do any millennial agenda or Gen Z agenda or whatever. Like they're trying to make a good game that they believe in that is good and you will enjoy it because it's enjoyable, not like it's the hit of the year, it's the hit of the month, whatever. It's like they're there to make it a long game and to make it enjoyable. Whatever their marketing, whatever their monetization is going to be, I'm sure they have a plan of some sort, but it's not apparent right now. It's not like a driving force to the design of the game. It's, yeah, we'll get that when it's ready. Like we know it's fine. We have upfront money. We can get there. Because I mean, what, it's been going on for, I mean, obviously they've been designing longer than 2 years, but um there hasn't been any marketing plan for how they're gonna scheme us and how they're gonna get us and da da da. It's just like, yeah, this is a good game. All right, cool, go. Um, and yeah, to answer your question of if the game released right now, I think it would succeed if there is a free to play access. Like I was saying earlier about it, yeah, everyone can very easily get access, but it's just hard enough. It's just hard enough that the very casuals are like, I have to get an invite. I'll go play something else. Like it's so easy. It's so easy yet just hard enough to, in a way, let them like people test it that really want to play it, not just like, hey, let's get these opinions from everybody. We're like almost getting like a little bit of a like smaller environment to like get opinions on people that want to play it, that enjoy it enough. Um, because not everyone can get it, I guess. It's just so difficult to get, which I think you do have to pay. Do you have to what? You have to pay like
you
five
just have to
dollars
get a
on
Steam
Steam
invite.
for something. Yeah, but
Well,
it's like an
oh,
account has to
true. You
have
probably
it.
need an account that
It's
has been
it's like
used.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
You have to like
$5.
spend $5, whatever. Which
Yeah, so they can tell you're not a bot or
There's the
whatever.
yeah,
monetization.
yeah,
There it
yeah.
is. There's the how
Yeah,
they leech ya.
we get you to buy
That's how
any
we get
game
my
on
alt
Steam.
accounts. $5.
I didn't even
No,
imagine. I was like never even considering that someone would like have a Steam account that they haven't bought a game on because like I have
exactly,
had this for
exactly.
my whole life. I think I made my Steam account when I was like 13 or something. So
I do think the ability to change your name so quickly on Steam and stuff is like, I mean, I don't know. It's nice. This is completely off topic or not whatever, not adjacent to this topic, but you know, it's nice to be like, oh, that's so and so. That's their account. And it's like, oh, here's Fart Muncher 27. Oh, that's actually so and so. He's on his main account. He just changed his name for this game. And it's like, all right, well, cool, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, that's a Steam
1%,
adjacent topic.
1% problems, Fitzy. 1%.
But no,
I'm
mean,
staring. I'm
even
staring
if
at
you're in the
Russian
world-
characters, bro. I'm staring at Russian characters on the screen. I ain't no shit if
Hey.
if I played 10 games in a row with this guy, I wouldn't fucking know.
also every game has
Hey.
streamer mode now, which is effectively
Yeah.
the same thing, right?
Yeah,
Of just
yeah,
fully
Sure.
anonymizing yourself. Like at least like there's there's a streamer mode in Deadlock. You can change your name all the time if you want, but for the most part you start to recognize people, I think.
Sure.
Which I always think, in a lot of games with streamer mode, it's like I get why they make streamer mode, right? For people to be anonymous, but that's like the new standard, right? People expect to have anonymity if in games.
Jake's about to go off on his whole like the hyper competitive. Everyone needs to be in voice chat. No streamer mode. You should. Oh, I should be able to track you down if you grief my game. If you pick the wrong hero. If you don't min max your souls,
I'm not such a tryhard
I'ma
anymore.
hunt you
I'm like,
down.
it is what it is. It is what it is. I think I sympathize to some point with what you're saying, Fitzy. Of like it's better. There's like more accountability, you know, for people like standing
Well,
behind what they say, you know. But I also think streamer mode is effectively in most games it accomplishes the same thing of changing your name.
Sure. No, I mean, I enjoy the community almost built around it, which obviously again is the it is the top 1% in terms for the most part of like you're getting in more games more often. Whereas
Because
if
most
you're in the
people
middle
probably
and you're
don't see the same players anymore, right? If you're in the middle of the player base,
sure.
it's probably pretty rare.
Oh, but
Default.
sorry. The no, you guys talked about so much, and I had so many thoughts, and I had to get back to them. We were talking about is it a problem if it releases today, new player base, of like someone's played 2,000 hours and I'm brand new, don't know how to parry. I mean, in any game, if you're in bronze, you're in bronze. You could have 2,000 hours and be in bronze. There's 2,000 hours in Overwatch and people are in bronze. They might know that one patch 37 days ago and 3 years ago, they're still in bronze. And whatever skill that you're bringing in can be either at their level or better. So I don't think that's a problem. Is it a problem in the short run? Sure. But like, I mean, if we've seen Dota, they're like, oh, facets gone. Like they will just drop and change everything that you know about the game. And they've already done that like on many aspects of Deadlock. Other little,
To some extent to which your prior knowledge becomes obsolete. Like you don't
Sure,
have
sure.
actually 2,000 hours. You have like a fraction of 2,000 hours, that are either whether it's things that didn't change on the old patch or like it becomes more complicated. It's not like we've been playing chess for 2,000 hours and you start playing chess and it's like the exact game people have been playing for 500 years, right?
Well, and even in Overwatch, it's like, oh, back in the day, we went through the different metas of the dive, the moth meta, the goats, you go all through this stuff, and then like 3 years later, it's like, let's run dive, and then someone's like, I don't know how to play that, and you're like, what the fuck do you mean? We've been here this whole time. I'm sorry, are we allowed to curse? I don't know. Anyways, it's like we've been here this whole time. You should know this. We did this 3 years ago. Whereas like, yeah, that's one game out of 20 that like someone decided to do this strategy from 3 years ago. Yeah, it helps you in a way, but like you said, it almost becomes obsolete in like your knowledge and experience that like you will get there eventually of learning that skill or whatever. But it doesn't, I mean, your aim's gonna stick. It's again bringing in whatever skill that you had from your game that you're bringing into Deadlock and just working on that, letting that carry you enough to slowly learn the other skills. Because your teammates will either show you or let you know what you're doing wrong. And like Eskay, like, nope, I've never played a MOBA. Boom, here's an auto build, left to right, go. I'm gonna, let that. I don't need to worry about that right now while I'm learning the macro of the game. You don't have to be like, well, this 800 item is really efficient in this lane and transitions into the mid game. Like you're just like left to right. All right, I won my lane or lost it. Doesn't matter. It's fine. I know the macro ish.
On that note, Eskay, do you have anything else you want to add on what any of us discussed? Because again, we've been touching a lot of topics that are pertinent.
I actually don't, except for my 500 hours screaming goats meta in Overwatch knowledge is all completely useless. Oh man.
We don't talk about goats here anymore. Anyway, this is a taboo topic in this call. This is traumatic memories.
I don't know. There's some goats in Deadlock. You can have some kind of goats heroes,
True.
There's a
true,
literal
true.
goat, so there's a literal goat.
There's a literal goat. Yeah. But
I mean, Deadlock,
I guess
they've been
that's kind of
super
more like
careful with survivability in Deadlock. Like they are really, really aggressive about nerfing survivability. Like I remember historically there were some unkillable builds. Like I remember there was a Green Infernus build in like way back in the alpha that was like legit. He's like diving your base and you can't kill him. Like he's that unkillable.
Oh my gosh.
Like diving inside in the old base too, where it was like really deep as well. So but they're really aggressive. They make sure that like I don't think there's ever been those like unkillable builds, other than obviously if you're way far ahead in the game, you can feel pretty unkillable, but that's just the nature of MOBAs. But they're pretty careful. Like it feels like they're always nerfing survivability or buffing damage. Like there's been a couple metas where there's like when Heal Nova was I think 1600. Everyone bought Heal Nova. It was like too much sustain.
Rescue beam 20-second cooldown or whatever it was.
Yeah, but they're like they've aggressively nerfed everything like that. That has made like and also grouping up as 6 is like heavily nerfed now in the economy system. It's kind of complicated. You don't really need to go into it, but there's strong disincentives to full group as a team. It has to be really a big deal, like taking mid boss or taking the base, ending the game, to make 6 players being together like a good idea.
Trophy collector kind of bringing it back. I don't know.
True.
I don't
true,
know.
But
Well, this
I promise you, it's not long for this world. Everybody.
No, it won't be. But for now, it's like, oh my god, there's 4 in every game.
This is when me and Eskay just smiling like, sure, yeah, I buy that item all the time.
So
on
cheap.
this note though, well, if the build don't say it, I don't know it. That's how it is. It's just like I've never seen this, never heard of this item.
I will say you should just buy Trophy right now. If you're playing Deadlock
so
today,
good.
and
Okay,
buy
I'm
Trophy.
gonna
I don't
I'm
care
gonna
what you're
first
doing,
item
what
buy
you're
it.
playing. Unless you're playing like go AFK in the jungle Wraith for 30 minutes, you should have Trophy Collector. Like 9. I would say it should be 10 or 11 buys in every game. It's broken.
But real quick, to add on to Eskay's point, kind of the wasted 500 hours of goats. But I mean, if there's any deathball meta, like you understand playing as a unit, you know, like even that is like a
True, yeah.
transferable skill that like anything. There's so many things from so many different games that you can like bring into the game and be good at. Yeah. Anyways.
This is just trying to make you feel good that all the time you spend no-lifing different video games will be valuable at some point. Like, that's the cope that we all have to believe for the lives we've lived. For the lives we have chosen to live, we have to believe this. Okay. Well, so, we kind of highlighted some problems there, which I think leads well to bring up. Because this has been, we've been positive, which is great. Great to see you all guys are thrilled about Deadlock, but we do need to, provide criticism as well to hopefully, as we always try and do this podcast, positive inclined criticism to try to help the game improve. So let's talk about like what are the biggest problems and hurdles that Deadlock has right now and will have for when it, for when we ideally think it should be the state it will be in when it launches. So I'll let Eskay think. That's her thonk VTube. I'm gonna go to Jake first because I'm sure he's got some thoughts on this. Jake, what are like some of the big picture problems? Like, why don't you just rattle off for now some of the problems you think? Like, okay, there's this, and then you can maybe fixate on the biggest one that really stands out to you.
Yeah, I think my biggest complaint, and this is probably like a 1% problem kind of situation. I don't know. I think it matters way less at lower levels. I'd like to see some kind of draft in the game. I think when people say draft, they think you mean like I don't think there should be captain's mode in ranked where you have to like sequentially pick heroes. But I think Dota is a good example because it's like you just all pick. Both teams pick 2 heroes at a time where they're blind to the other. Like you see what your teammates are picking, and then you only see once each team has 2 picked, and then you do another 2. And then in Dota, there's 1 more. But in Deadlock, there'd be another 2 at the end. So, and if 2 people try and pick the same, if the opposite teams pick the same hero at the same time, it gets banned. So you don't get like a reward for picking the OP characters first. Or if you do, then if you pick the really strong character first, then other people have more picks to counter you. The point of the system ultimately is that I think the one criticism I have Deadlock right now is that, again, I think it probably doesn't matter below like top 5 to 10% of players where you could have a really bad team comp. I think because your individual competence on characters matters so much for the most of the players that only it's at the top end where like everybody is highly competent on their hero, like without any exceptions, that the draft becomes a problem. You're like, oh, we don't have a single scaling carry, or we have 6 scaling carries. It's also not good, So as a player who I like to play sort of like different roles in the game, like more farming roles, and I also like to play like more fighting, and so I like to play some supporting role. I like to do different things in different characters. But in Deadlock right now, I just have to pick arbitrarily. I just feel like playing support right now, so I'll queue a character that's like sort of supporty. And there's no ability for me to get into a game and say, oh wow, like I'm playing with a guy who I know is a really good carry. I'd be happy to play support this game. Or wow, I'm the strongest player on this lobby by a lot. If I play support, we will lose. Like in order for me to win in a lobby that I'm by far the mathematically strongest player, I really need to play a high impact role. So basically, I need to play carry, or maybe some like high farming fighting character. But I really should not be playing like saving my allies support that I like to play in a super high elo game. In a lower elo game, I really need to do more. I need to have more like offensive impact to be successful. And the problem is the current system has no way for me to tell what game I'm walking into before the game starts. I just like queue up. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like playing Viscous. I'll play Viscous. Turns out I needed to play gun carry this game. Oops, like I guess we lose, or at least I have very little agency in it. So I think just some way for you to like sequentially pick heroes. You could see what your teammates have. I like to fill. I want to pick the hero my team needs. And I literally don't have that option now. So I think that would be a good thing to add in the game. I don't think I should do some full-on captain's draft. Like, that's not going to happen. I think that's way too complicated and not needed. But some way for players to have thoughtful team compositions. Because right now, as I understand that, maybe there's some like they've sort of hard coded some aspects of that. Like you get something of a balance comp, but I see a lot of comps that I'm like, what is wrong? Like this is like my hero is so if only I were playing a hard carry or vice versa. If only I were not hard carry, things would be so much better. But they're not, and we have 6 carries. Like the fact that that just happens to you, and you I mean, I understand if you play all pick, that could happen. People could all pick carry, but like at least it's on them, you know. At least they made that choice. And maybe it was a bad choice and maybe they lose for it, but at least it was a choice. And I think right now the fact that even for lower level players, I think there's probably a lot of players who feel the same of like, I like playing this guy, but you just sort of arbitrarily decide who you want to play this game instead of having a thoughtful consideration of like, oh, I like partnering with my teammates on that guy. I love playing this other character when I have that teammate. Right now, you don't have like that control. And I think that's like the thing I'd like to see most of all.
Interesting. I'm going to take it to Eskay next. Firstly, Eskay, is this something you felt? And B, what would you say are the biggest problems / singular problem that you feel Deadlock has right now?
Yes, I agree with Jake. Sometimes we get team comps that are just so awful. Like it's really difficult to win. Getting 5 gun carries and an IV or something like that is pretty common. And there are times where I'm like, oh, I really want to play an M1 carry today, but every game I get, we have 3 M1 carries, so I should not pick it anymore. And then I queue up and we have no M1 carry, and then we lose because we have no M1 carry. And it's just like, man, that's really frustrating. But I think my biggest issue, and the biggest issue I've seen with people talking about the game and people coming in my chat, is the rank system. A lot of like new players will get put really high up and then just get stomped, and then they're not having fun because they're getting owned. And no matter how much they lose, they're still in a really high rank. Or there are people who got placed really low, and then no matter how much they win, it just seems like they can't seem to climb. It's just so mysterious. And if I'm not even complaining for myself. I just hope that new players aren't getting put into lobbies where they're getting completely stomped over and over again, because that's no fun.
You think that that's a problem that they will address once? I think there's a lot of things that we can forgive because it is a closed alpha, right? It's like,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. That's my thing. I'm like sitting here trying so hard to come up with something that I think won't just get fixed by them eventually. Like,
well, feel free to rattle
stuff.
them off
And
just to name check
I
so
can't-
we know if you have them.
Oh crap! They've been wiped from my mind.
Okay, it's all good. You know what? Take a second, and you take a second to think about them, and I'm gonna take it to Fitzy, and then I'll come back to you. Go bald if you want to interject. All right, as a strange sentence,
Okay,
but
got
it
it.
makes sense in the context of this call. Fitzy, go ahead.
To add on to Jake's thing, hero draft is some amount of draft is eventually necessary. Obviously, like right now, it's like, yeah, you run into those games that are, you got 6 gun carries versus 6 spirit, and you're like, honestly, it could go either way. The spirit could throw, and then you win with 6 gun carries, you know. And let's take a moment. You know, there's hero bans right now. Remember when Overwatch couldn't do that for like forever?
Although
Good job.
again,
There's a little bit of hero bans.
but
Yay!
a bizarre version though, because the game picks the heroes anyway, so it's already banning heroes like that it doesn't pick. So it's like an actually redundant hero ban.
True. But okay, and I mean, I don't know how they have it, but like if you prioritize someone, if you have someone too prioritized, you're getting that hero, unless it's banned or someone else has it. Period. Like that's as far as I know, that's how it works.
If you
So,
play
like,
popular characters, you do miss the double pryos quite a lot.
sure,
Like,
sure, but like someone in the game has it,
yes,
right?
yes.
Right. So it's yes and
Unless it's
no.
banned.
Whereas
Yeah.
like if someone's like, yeah, Infernus is OP, and then like 10 people in the lobby are like, yeah, let's ban that guy. It's like he's probably gonna get banned. Like there's a and it's not even the fact that he's banned every game, it's that it's not every game that you're playing him, right? That's what I wanted for Overwatch. I was like,
Just
I
any
kept I was
level
like,
of variance that it is not
yes, yes.
literally
Right,
the
It's
right.
like,
same character.
oh, we have goats every game. Like if Lucio was banned half the games, it's like, all right,
You could ban
it's
like
not
Lucio and Brig, it would have like single-handedly. I mean, goats would have been totally
not
fine
every
if it
game.
was 60% of the time, right? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And that was what I kept pushing Overwatch every time we went to those events. It was like, guys, we just need a very soft, like it doesn't need it. And it's like, well, no, there's not enough heroes. It's like, all right, come on now. And then Deadlock does it, and I'm like, oh, thank God. You know, like
Yeah.
we're less than anyways.
I was
Okay,
pushing for that in like year 2 of the Overwatch League too, like very
exactly.
early. I was like, we really should at least competitively, at least, I mean, it was such a terrible problem. in
Let's not
competitive
dig these
too.
wounds up, guys. I got wounds too. Let's
Fair,
not dig
fair.
them up. Let's move on.
That
I
was
got that
fun.
beef too. I got that
Are you
beef too.
saying,
All
like,
right.
Group
of what they did
therapy.
good, what they did well with
Yeah.
hero bans, that it's like, oh, they've already addressed a problem that Overwatch had for years, very early on. That like, yeah, it's a very early stage or whatnot, but like they've addressed an issue that happens later on. So the draft thing, and you can look at both sides. Queue time. If there's no draft, fast queue. You know, you're just picking. Boom. What role they're queuing for doesn't matter. Boom. And so that I think is something that once there is enough players, they will like they are competent enough to be like, all right, there's enough players. And yeah, at the moment, sometimes you get a shit game. It happens. Like it is what it is. You just gotta, all right, don't worry too much about it. You know, back when I was playing Wraith, you know, a year and a half ago, when I was playing a lot of Wraith, and they would be like, oh, we have a Wraith, we have a Haze, we have a Seven, we have Infernus. I'm like, I'm going Colossus. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna get in there. I'm gonna, you know, like we didn't have all the tools we have now. But I was like, I'm the tank this game. I'm gonna translocate. I mean, I'm gonna teleport in, and I'm gonna ult him, and then I'm gonna walk away. And I think people aren't. If you get in those games where you're like 6 gun carries, you know, it's like, okay, guys, it's okay. Just doesn't matter. We're either gonna win or lose. It is. Don't worry about the matchmaking. Don't worry about the rank. It's okay. Have fun. Like someone decide, and it's like, no, we must all go farm the creeps in the jungle. Oh, we lost because you did that. And it's like, no shit. We have 6 gun carries. Like, get off my ass. All right, we're all trying to have fun and win. You know, it is what it is. So yes, I think the draft is something that is very important. That will. I wish if we could boom have it right now. I think that would solve enough problems that like they happen, and it truly is like, well, we lost because matchmaking. Like that's like 20% of games, if not higher. And then what other issues? Oh, Eskay,
The bald K has
Go ahead,
appeared. The
Eskay.
bald K
Go
has appeared.
ahead.
So-
SK, what you got?
I'll get my razor.
The, this one is not from me because I'm a movement lover, but I was on vacation talking with Sleepy, and he was saying his biggest gripe with the game is the movement, that it's too complicated and that it's so important and there's so much to it, so much depth and so many mechanics that feel strange, that it might be difficult for newer players to play. Now, I am very biased, so I disagree with what he was saying because I love movement, but curious what you guys think.
I think
It
that's
depends
probably
on
one of the most salient criticisms, right? Because it's like it is kind of the heart and soul of the game. So if you're like, I don't like it, I'm inclined to say like maybe the game's not for you, honestly. Like if you really don't
Mm.
want to do the movement stuff, it's like it's so infused. Everything you do in Deadlock is right. Like going to farm the camps. If you're like better at movement and you can like slide more efficiently while you're farming, like farming a jungle camp like 1v0 PvE is like has intense skill cap, you know, like that you could be more efficient with it, which is it just goes to show that there's nothing you can do in Deadlock that isn't gonna have a huge skill element to it. Even the most from a MOBA perspective, the most simple things on a MOBA, I'd be like looking on other parts of the map with my camera while I'm farming a camp because that's the high elo thing to do. Where in Deadlock, it's like you're trying to look at the mini map, but you might have to you have to aim at the creeps. You have to like headshot the creeps. You have to be sliding and like using your ammo efficiently, using your CD, like clear the camp as fast as possible. So there's like it is in everything. I also think though I'm again biased. I think that's the soul of the game. I think that's the one thing they
Yeah.
shouldn't and I don't think they can compromise on. Other than the game should have like a more effective way to learn it. I think there should be more like right now you need to go to YouTube. Realistically, you should go to YouTube, watch people's guides about how to do movement, learn the basics, build up from there. Like it's pretty accessible, but I think that's sort of that's a bad thing. That the only way to learn something is to go to like third-party YouTube to like learn about it. You can look at a game like Apex Legends though, and there was some heinously complicated movement in the game. Like the
That's
really,
true.
really high tier movement shit is you would never ever know. Maybe the thing is you don't even need to engage with it. Where since sliding is like even as a beginner, you're pressing your stamina, right? Like whereas at least in Apex, you could just run places and you're not so far behind the curve. In Deadlock, if you're just walking everywhere, you are pretty far behind the curve.
I think
Fitzy, I think, tried
as
to go
well.
bold as well. So I will give default to Fitzy right now. I think that was his version
Oh,
of
yeah,
going
yeah, yeah.
bold. So go ahead, Fitzy.
Sorry, one point to Jake. You can actually look at other people's perspective while you're farming. You can you
true.
look around. No,
I mean,
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing
there's
that.
a
I'm like,
reason
you tell
not to,
me.
right? Like
Yeah,
the looking at other people's
yeah.
POV thing is like that's something that
Sure.
very few players do because
Sure.
there's no downtime, not really in the game. Like just, other than when you're
Correct.
zipping to base to do buys. That's like the one time I will actually look at other people's POVs and but also the more you play, the more you look at the mini map, like little by little. You're like farming the creep, and then you have like 2 seconds where you know you're just gonna shoot this creep, and now you're looking at the mini map while you're doing that. And like
Sure.
you learn these tiny little optimizations to have a little extra time to check the mini map, or like you do a last hit, you look at the mini map, right? But there's always more movement.
Sure.
That's a whole camp. That says a lot about Deadlock. This I bet like 1 in 100 Deadlock.
They didn't even know. No one in the chat actually knows. No one actually knows that you can.
Like,
did you know?
I honestly probably don't use it. Like
F1 key. It's F keys, right? It's the F1
yeah,
key.
yeah, the function keys.
I don't
do.
got F keys
Look at
anymore,
other
but I
people's
know.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it's good in team fights, but
I do it during
risky.
pauses. You know, I'm like, oh, we're gonna get this guy. I'm like, oh, what's going on over there? Let me look. Anyways, so shit, I lost what I was gonna say. Hold on. I got it.
Movement is
farming,
the heart soul of the game. That was kind of what I was saying.
So they have comparing to Overwatch, because we all are Overwatch. Genji ledge dash.
I am Overwatch.
Okay. Mercy super jump. I don't know what other. We've played it for so long, but there's so many little movement things, right? That are like
scroll wall ride.
okay. All right,
Yeah.
Lucio Gamer.
Sorry,
I don't know that one.
nerd.
No. But like there are aspects in Overwatch that were very, very difficult to learn. And they're like, oh, let's actually make this kind of part of their kit or remove it, Genji Lab Dash. So I'm sure over the years, things were added a little bit easier to make. One thing in Deadlock, like right now, if you were to, we're talking laning phase, right? And there's the little platform in the middle. If you just look at the wall and jump and double jump again, you'll bounce off of it and mantle. Whereas before you had to like jump into it, click the other way, jump, look back. And so like they've already made it easier in some aspects.
That's true.
To, like
they've
make it
streamlined some of the
accessible.
inputs and stuff and made it a little better.
And so, yes, I think movement is obviously very core to the game. It's a 3-dimensional game. We were comparing to Smite earlier. Smite's like Smite's 2D.
I think Smite is like the
3-dimensional.
Level,
yeah. The 3-dimensional aspect of Deadlock is so in the movement. Oh, it's so good. Like it's so good. Until you get a little high pinged and it's a little funky, but I think that they are going in the right, like they know what stuff is too complicated. Like obviously there wants to be the I have the
Like
skill
heavy
expression.
melee canceling and
Oh, yeah,
Fitzy
yeah. Well,
dash.
even most recently they made it so like if you before I literally just learned this in the tournament thing we did when we were doing lane practice, and I got parried because he jump dashed parried, but you can't dash parry. But now you can. So like if you just press shift and parry, it works. Because it was like, oh, that jump dash parry was too complicated, which is like it's what goes too far.
they've removed some of the hard I think this kind of like SVP's earlier point of like how the hell could you know that? Why can you do this thing but not that thing? Like I remember before if you just did like a one stam dash into a slide, you couldn't jump out of that unless you
Right,
go
yeah, yeah.
downstairs. And
Yeah.
if you go
Yeah.
downstairs, now you can. And it's like, okay, that is something that you would have there's no way of knowing and is not intuitive. I think they've done a really good job so far kind of cutting unintuitive things, whether they're restrictions or things you can do that's like, why can you do that? Like maybe you shouldn't be able to do that. But they seems like they really are favoring like leave the tech in, but remove the sort of like arcane, you need to rebind your keys, you need to like know that this geometry interacts with that geometry, like stuff that is sort of like, like so maybe these interactions were a bug when they first were created because they weren't made intentionally, where okay, maybe we can take an intentional pass on them to make them more natural and better designed and more balanced, but not remove them completely. Like leave them for the players who want them. Don't take them away, but you shouldn't have to do weird stuff. Like I'm of the opinion that like for instance, the fact that you need like scroll wheel to do stuff is bad. That's not I don't like if like the default key control should be able to give you like let you do everything within reason. Like maybe things can be easier with other keys. Sure, fine, but stuff that
And that's
requires prior knowledge is weird.
I was kind of going to ask that to both of you guys because obviously Eskay, you're very movement bounce off walls, cool. The thing like the one frame hop on the zip crouch dash that gives you super speed, like
That's
should that
that's a
exist?
controversial one. That's a
And
super
and that's where it's like
Mm.
I there like you said, I think it should be within reason of like, can I execute this regularly with proper inputs? Not like like you're yeah,
That's I think
that's
the
where I'm
hardest
at on
single trick
movement.
in Deadlock right now. Actually, that specific trick. If people don't know, if you dismount the zip on the same frame you connect to it, you get off with like giga hyperspeed, like almost like you're coming off a speed zip. So and it is I
It's
believe a true one frame trick. Like it's like some 0.01. Like I don't think anybody in the world can do it consistently.
Except
yeah.
for Bald K.
Okay,
Bald
Baldy's
K.
talking.
Bald K is doing it all the
Raises
time.
my hand without hair epically. Most recently, they discovered a tech where you can stand in a specific spot and attach to the zipline and get the one tick every single time.
So
I've
should you
been
have to
doing
do
it.
that though?
Probably not. See, okay, I need to defend Sleepy's. I need to defend Sleepy's name and Sleepy's take because I think you guys agree with Sleepy. He
Hmm.
was saying specifically for texts that seem really wonky, like short hopping is the example he gave, and I agree with him. Short hopping should not exist. Short hop is if you dash and you have crouch bound to scroll wheel, you dash immediately, scroll down, and then jump. You get like a little like a slightly less effective dash jump for 1 stamina. It's really overpowered on Celeste and Shiv. Um,
Oh, Shiv.
Yeah, that's how you do like that's how you start the Shiv shotgun movement train most effectively.
mhm. But
Hey,
Shiv movement is too
I
good.
agree. Those I think that's exactly the kind of tech that it needs to be balanced out. Like
The problem is when you start balancing around that though, is then like for okay, personally, I'm like, oh, I'm playing all the new heroes, right? And I'm like, oh, Celeste. And I'm like, yeah, I actually don't want to learn this hero because they're gonna balance it around bouncing off walls. And I have zero interest in that. So I literally just don't want to play the hero because they're going to balance it around her movement. And so I'm just like, I have zero interest in learning this hero.
I I think
So-
personally, I think it's okay for Celeste to be like, that's not my hero because there's a ton of heroes in Deadlock. I'm like, you know what? I think this hero's cool or whatever,
Sure.
but not my hero. And I think for Celeste to have her like unique air control stats is like part of what makes her super unique. But I think
It's
like
not
that part
necessarily
is
the unique air control. It's like the crazy movement of like, oh, I like am 80 strafing middle of air while bouncing, and then I do this, and then I crouch spam on the corner to dash into the, and it's like,
So
where
Yeah.
does that movement stop?
Where do you draw the line is
yeah,
not an easy question for Valve.
yeah,
Like, should
exactly.
you nerf these things? Should you take them out? Should you allow them, but like sort of put them in a more accessible way? I'm a big believer in like the rebinding stuff is basically
I agree.
suspect. Like if you have to rebind keys, it's like for me that's like a nice little bellwether of like, yeah, this is a little too hard. Like I don't know. I mean, I guess you look at like B hopping is probably the best example of that, where like this sort of the original scroll wheel tech is like you need scroll wheel down to B hop. You do a bunch of jump inputs to actually successfully B hop is like necessary. But Counter Strike has effectively neutered B hopping. I mean, like realistically, like I guess there's some if you're like if you go too fast, you get like a hard break on your speed and it really punishes you. So you need to do like perfect B hopping where you're only a little bit faster than normal. If you go too fast, you get slowed down. So realistically, people don't really do it much anymore compared to a long time ago. B hopping was like more competitively relevant. Um, so I don't know. I think it's a fine line. I do think though, even if you completely remove stuff like that, like oh, this like dash into scroll wheel gives you like the mini dash jump, you could completely take that out of the game, and you're not gonna stop the fact that Deadlock is. You know what I mean? Like like all
Yeah.
these techs, the heavy melee cancel, even you take stuff like edge bouncing or whatever that's like really like popular and fun for people they like to master it. You could completely remove that, and like the game is still gonna have movement at its core as long as there's stamina
Sure.
for the things stamina does, like double jumping and dashing. There's sliding gives you infinite ammo. Like the game's gonna be a movement game. You know what I mean? Like even if it's only the most fundamental aspects of it those aren't going to go away. I feel like that's feel pretty confident in saying those things, and those are what give it its heart. I think
so
it's like unfortunate when there's a cool tech that they need to take out, but I think it's a good take that the game shouldn't have stuff that you need to watch YouTube videos to understand. Although I
SVB,
guess
did you
that's
know that unlimited ammo from sliding?
yeah, I'm not that dumb. Come on now, give me some credit.
okay.
Hey, no, I mean, it's something that like if you're not paying attention, you're not real. You know, you're like,
Look, I broke my pinky playing Viper like yesterday, so I've been spamming that crouch, bro, going slippy slides. I have
You
a
gotta go caps lock crouch, guys. Caps lock.
well,
Crouch.
I had to. That is the
I'll have
one
that
here I
right.
had to rebind shit on because I was like, I can't.
Because you're-
My pinky is literally I cannot play, so I literally had to rebind. But I have a lot to say, which is why I've been kind of listening to you guys because I think I can offer an interesting perspective. But before I do, I want to give Eskay the chance to speak because I got the yappers on either side of me. I'm gonna give polite Bald K the chance. If you have anything you want to
Yay!
add.
I do have one more thing, and that your Viper thing reminded me of it. There's just so many keybinds in this game, and like the default layout is just suboptimal. Um, but you have four abilities, four active items, parry, slide, attached to zip line, your teammates' perspectives. Ow.
okay, what are you using, SK? Give us the rundown. Give me
Me?
the hockey layout.
Oh, I'm freaky. Okay, I
You
have
got
my 1
Wasp.
on Q, I have my 2 on E, I have my 3 on control, I have my 4 on 4, I have crouch on mouse 4.
What's your melee?
Okay, come on. You guys are
Z.
Overwatch players. You have to have your ult
Was
on
it?
Q. How is this? How are you
Z.
not
I have
doing
my
this?
ult on Q.
Come on now, come on. If you still have Overwatch in your Twitter handle, you need to have your ult on Q. This is the universal rules. You pay homage to the goat.
Nope.
I
Nope.
put one of my active items on Q. I do everything default except one of my
Oh, get
active
him out.
items is on
He's a
Q.
Dota player now. He's a Deadlock Dota.
But I use 1, 2, 3, 4 for the skills, honestly. Because
Really? Okay.
realistically, like almost every character is done this way that like you only have 2 skills and they're on 1 and 2. Everyone with the passive has it on 3. I think that's true actually. I don't know if there's any exceptions to that. Or the characters that do have buttons on 3 are buttons you press very rarely, like Viscous Cube or something, where it's like, okay, it's fine, not that big of a deal.
Vindicta-Crow. Sorry.
That's true.
What about
Yeah,
Apollo?
I do not play every character to be transparently, so I also find I just don't mind it. I also use quick cast, so it's easier. I don't care as much.
Oh, that's something we haven't talked about is the different casting options for different
yeah.
things.
All right, before
No.
we go down that
So we
train,
have to. Do we have to get it?
before we go down that train,
Yes.
I want to speak to kind of what Eskay alluded to from Sleepy's perspective, because again, having gotten into the game
You
recently,
have a good
I've kind of
perspective as you're a little more of a beginner. Like, how does it
Exactly.
the movement, what does that feel?
I've kind of gone through the different phases, because when I started, I think I found a lot of these things irksome. To be like, one that like a lot of these already highlighted by you guys. One, the fact that there's no downtime, I think adds to the overwhelming nature of the game. Like I was explaining the exact thing that Jake explained to my chat, where I was like, look, as a Dota player, I enjoy, like, if I'm just gonna walk to this creep camp, I have 10 seconds to just actually take stock of where the game is at, like which lane is pushing in, who's where, oh, is there a team fight about to break out? Whereas with Deadlock, I'm like literally PvEing, I'm literally losing to fucking lane creeps. And then I finish the wave and I'm like, oh my god, 5 people are fighting for like mid or something, right? Like you
gotta like do the perfect movement, hit the boxes, and clear the camp. And
yeah, literally,
the
I'm like,
boxes
yo,
while
chat,
you
check
clear
me
the
out.
camp.
I just fucking did the box run, and they're like, yeah, but mid boss is about to die, by the way. I'm like, oh fuck. So
I love sitting there shooting a creep wave, and I'm looking around and like looking at other things, and I look back at the creep, and I'm just missing.
Yeah,
on
you're just
repeat. And I'm
watching the
like,
creep.
it's like, guys, I
I've done
know
that
you're just
too.
looking
It's
at
too
me miss
relatable.
this
It's too
creep.
relatable.
I'm doing so many things, like.
and you look like a complete buffoon to your chat, because they're just like shooting a creep that won't move and you're missing. And you're like, guys, I swear my eyes were on the
things
minimap. I
do.
swear my eyes were on the minimap. Okay, so there's that. And then there's like the movement also I found irksome. And in fact, I kind of said that like I can totally see why this is, like, when I was first starting, I was like, I can see why this is a game that people like Eskay would love, because like Eskay loves grinding something that like has ridiculous skill ceiling, right? And I was like, I fucking don't want to do this. I'm old. I don't want to fucking spend 500 hours just to learn how to like crouch, dash, bump, jump, bounce off the wall. I was like, this is just too much. I don't think this game is going to work for me. And I think that's probably what Sleepy was kind of alluding to, where it's like there's, and you know, all the examples you guys cited of like there's this zipline tech. I think there's like 2 different categories where this movement falls into. There's this is a niche unintended thing that someone discovered, versus what is fundamentally the heart and soul of the game, which is like jump dash into crouch, into jump, into wall bounce. Like that is, I think, as Jake said, like the life and soul of Deadlock. And I think I went through the journey of like learning to accept it and actually learning to love it. Where like initially I was like, I just do not want to engage with this, and I think this will be a barrier to me liking the game. Like I think I will not play this game because this is just too much, and I don't really want to have to do this on top of the lane creeps, the box routes, the learning my hero, the learning the items, the learning the build. You know, it's just too much, and I'm being punished in 5 different ways, right? Like it's how you approach the game. You could either be like, wow, there's 5 cool things for me to bring my experience into, or you're like, wow, there's 5 different things I suck at, and there's 5 different ways I'm losing this lane right now because I don't know this and that and that. So I think that for someone listening, again, who's maybe a bit like me or a bit like Sleepy, perhaps, not to speak for them, it's like a great barrier almost. Like this part of Deadlock is like there's several great barriers. It's like you either get past them and you learn to love the game, or you die somewhere along the way. You either like your species ceases to evolve somewhere along the way, where you're like, I don't want to do the soul maxing, I don't want to do the boxes, I don't want to do the jumping, and then you just quit. So I think that like that is, so I think they can do all the passes they want on which specific tech they're not going to allow. And I definitely think the game needs a consistency pass. Like you guys obviously have seen perhaps what changes they have or haven't done. As a new player, the oddities strike out to me the most, where it's like, again, to give another example, where it's like Haze sleep, and it's like, I sleep a Bebop who's ulting, and he's still fucking beaming my ass. And I'm like, why the fuck does this guy, is this guy
goes
asleep?
Into Overwatch transformation versus, channeled.
Really, it goes
Yeah,
into like, we thought this was broken, so we nerfed it in this instance, but actually now it's dumb as fuck. Because how is this guy asleep and shooting me with a beam, dog? Like, what's up with this? Like, like...
Well, he can't turn. He can't aim at you while you're sleeping.
Come
Get out
on,
of the
it's
way,
like...
bro.
Ults are funded because like you can hear a Haze ult and cancel it, and she'll still have it.
Well, this is what I mean, though. This needs a pass. Like, it should be intuitive to the player. When I push the interrupt button, it interrupts. Or like Apollo. I've played a fair chunk of Apollo recently. And it's like, what gets slowing hexed is completely arbitrary. Like, it's just like, why can't I do the riposte, which sends me across the map, but I can't do my one, which draws a little circle on the ground, and I hop like a little happy boy. Like, why is like
Yeah, that is. It's like,
the
why does
line
that
that's
work that way?
drawn
Yeah.
is
Calico's
completely
screwed.
arbitrary. It's like completely arbitrary. So I think they need to figure out like what, like, again, it should be intuitive. Like, I should be able to work out. And I will give Deadlock a lot of credit because there's a lot of really good things that are intuitive. Like, again, having jumped into Marvel Rivals a little bit, what orb flying in my direction was bad and which orb was good was completely unintuitive. It was just like, there's just circles everywhere, and I sort of have to guess which one is gonna fuck me, which one's gonna buff me, and which one I can actually just ignore. Whereas Deadlock is very good, I would say by and large, of like things on the screen largely tell you what they're gonna do. Like, you kind of figure it out. Like, I remember the
It
first
also
time
helps when there's not mirror comps.
Yes.
That's true.
And not deathballing all the time, which I will say,
Oh,
endgame
yeah.
Deathlock fights are just like brain aneurysm. I'm just like, when it gets to like in-base
Just
fights,
Trust me, even at high rank, just like find a guy. Like,
yeah, literally,
it's
pick
like,
a
just
guy.
Think about what you're gonna do. Pick a guy and fight that guy. Like, you
That's it.
like-
That's my strat.
Like, if you could kill that guy, try and kill him, and like double make hair, and then, or you're just a team fight alter and you just look for your big AOE, hit as many guys as you can.
Problem is, the base
But,
is
like,
so
I
fucking
agree,
big, I
keeping
lose
it
the
all
guy.
in your
I
head at
lose the
once
guy.
It's not happening. It's just not happening. Like an advanced high level deadlock, like you can't possibly consider what 12 people are doing on the server at once. I mean, it's like, I think it's like more extreme than Overwatch, because in Overwatch, generally you fight in formation, like at a high level. Like generally you don't do that many solo kills because it's more about like, okay, the tank's kind of here and like they're there, and we're kind of over here and they're over there, and like, you know, maybe there's somebody
Yeah.
flanking, but there's like one guy flanking. In Deadlock, it's like we're all in like a crazy spider web of all over each other from all angles, and I'm
And
just
you got
like,
Warp Stone, Phantom Strike, you got
yeah,
Rescue Beam,
I'm
you
just
got
shooting what's
George,
on
you
my
got
screen, man, and trying to keep an eye on like. This is like I'm like a top 200 player, and I'm like trying to just have an idea of like, are we winning this fight or should I get scared and run away? I try to find moments to think, okay, maybe I should just run away. No, we can win this. Let's keep fighting. And that is, I just think that's always going to be hard. I think that's something where realistically, it's also only going to be 10% of the game max, right? It's like, it's not, you know, if you like the game, it's because you kind of like your vibe playing the character, and then it once every game or twice every game, it has this crazy crescendo of like everything all at once, overwhelmingness that is going to probably be overwhelming for a long time.
Which again is also like endgame Dota is also like this to many extents, where it's just like,
It's like,
once
oh,
every,
my whole team is one shot. Great, I guess we lost. Like, it's over now. That guy came out of the trees and killed 3 of us. Like, oh shit.
yeah, and like
but much
honestly,
easier to digest.
yes,
you
because of
can-
the camera,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah, that's
inherent,
true.
and I
The
think
visual
Deadlock will.
thing, it doesn't have the shooter aspect, right?
And again, this is part of the great filter, right? It's like either you like it or you just don't. Like, there are some things that you like or you don't, but there are other things that I think could be worked on. So I'm gonna list some of them. Unless, again, Eskay, do you have anything you want to add on what we've just discussed there? No, shaking head. So here
I
are
think
some
you probably have the most interesting perspective, Aspi, because we've all played the game so much. We're like a little bit maybe blind to some things that we're like, this is just normal.
Mhm.
This is the game. Where I think your perspective as more of a new player is probably fresher in that way.
Oh, I thought of something.
Go for it.
Sorry.
late.
Of all the like variety streamers that I've talked to that like play all the other different games, they gave the same reason for not wanting to play Deadlock. They're like, I don't know if I want to invest 500 hours into this and learn all these other things just so I can play the game. That was like every single streamer I asked to play Deadlock with me has said that.
Yeah, again, I think the problem with the game, and again, I found this going in, is that like at the moment, this is what I was trying to highlight when I was talking about the new community versus the old community, is that like there isn't really a noob lobby. Like, I get put in the game and I'm already going up against people who are like
That's why
doing ridiculous
I'm
tech.
a big Street Brawl advocate. I think more people should play Street
I
Brawl.
hated Street
And
Brawl, not gonna lie. I
Really?
straight up,
I
I
mean,
did not
having
like
to
Street
choose
Brawl.
your
you know that
items
there's
is so
macro out
confusing.
there that you can win via that.
Yes,
Yeah,
because
because
I
you
play.
came from MOBA, your skills might be stronger in the MOBA. That is the Street Brawl is like worse for
Well,
you. It's like
also-
only the fighting.
Well, also I think
As
Street Brawl.
personally, I'm like, Street Brawl, like, oh god, let me just I need to
Well-
outmaneuver them, and it's like, no, we have one lane. You're fighting. That's it.
Yeah.
All right,
Fight.
you just gotta.
It feels very
gotta do
Marvel
that.
Rivals to me, right? Like it's very like let's just all just clump up
Yeah,
here and
let's
just
all
shoot shit
clash,
at
let's
each
all
other.
clash. Like,
Whereas for me, actually, it was easier with the simplified like the lane. Yes, I don't understand like the box macro, but it's like I just need to play my lane. You know, it's like really
Yeah.
stripped down. It's like there's 2 of us versus 2 of them. And like if I use my abilities and I also to understand which abilities are flying at me. Now I have spoken to a lot of people who said that like it's really good for items, the street brawl, because you get thrown new items every time, and so you can actually learn what items do, which you otherwise might never do because you just don't have, again, another thing, you just
Not
never
in
have the
build, not
time.
left to right.
You never have the time to look at the
It's
shop. Like
because as a beginner, you can't engage with the full totality of the shop when you're like, do I buy 1 of 100 items? Where in Street Brawl, it's 1 of 3, right? And I think fundamentally, 1 of 3 is like, you don't have to even know what any of the items
No.
in the game do. If you're just like a beginner and I'm saying, this item makes you more gun damage at close range. This one makes your spirit damage be more. This one makes you run faster. It's like, okay, I can like, I can make that. You don't, maybe I'm not going to make the quote unquote right decision, but you can understand
yes.
the decision that you're making. Deciding to buy one item versus another in the real game is not comprehensible. It's like you should just left to right builds until you are very advanced, because to decide from one of like literally 50 choices is not, you can't keep that in your head. You have to like do the math and
Are we
make a
behind?
spreadsheet.
Are we
So-
ahead? Who's in our
Yeah.
lane? Who's are we against? What's their whole game we're against?
You need to play 100
so
games
many
of a character
factors.
before you can have like confident item building without a build, is my view. At least for me, like I need, if I played a character a ton, I can be confident about making item choices. But like I played the game a shitload, and I've also played the individual characters I play a ton as well, like 100+ games. Now I'm like ready to do my own builds on those characters and think about what I want. And I'll still be on a build as a default, and then I'll just occasionally vary from it in certain ways, you know? So
So here's
I think
another.
left to righting is underrated. Just left to right and don't buy active items if you're a beginner. That's my recommendation. Like don't
So
buy,
here's
like 1 active item
You
at
can do it
max.
to Eternus.
Yeah, that, believe me, you can get very high with that. It's not, you don't need 4
Well,
active.
that kind of leads me to talk about another gripe. I'm just gonna list gripes basically, and that shouldn't be confused. Like I really do like the game, and I wouldn't be like I stopped playing Marvel Rivals after like a week because I was like, this shit is ass. But you know, I am continuing to play Deadlock because I'm like, this has something. But another like thing that I don't enjoy is the breakpoints, the 4.8k breakpoint things. I think this is like a failed gimmick in my opinion. Like I think that like.
Because it's unintuitive to.
It's
that
one,
you
it's
should buy
unintuitive.
exactly this much items
2,
on this thing.
yeah, it's like unintuitive because it's like, yeah, like it, you wouldn't know unless somebody tells you. Now maybe the tutorial will eventually come in and tell you, but it's also like, yeah, it's like it makes the builds like it makes you more reliant on the builds. Like you have to follow because it's about hitting this thing at a certain time, and so when you know, like you don't know when you've fallen off the pace of the build, right? Fucking, I gotta roast these build makers because they don't fucking tell you shit. They just like. Their annotation will be like, their annotation will be like, Schmungus Pingus, buy this. And it's like, bro, tell me why am I buying this item, and why, at what point in the game am I supposed to have the item, like, timing? When do I, like, you just gotta, like, brain off follow. 2, I feel like it's arbitrarily forcing you to hit this threshold for, like, what reason? It's just, like, restricting your freedom in some ways, like, because I'm someone who likes to be, you know, a free thinker. I want to make my own like decisions, but when you have to like hit this arbitrary like 4.8k to get the spike,
You're kind of like, you might have fallen into the trap a little bit, because if you watch like, it's like related to that meme with like the 2 people on the edge of the bell curve.
Right, do whatever you want. Yes.
Yeah, do whatever you want. Where like, because you look at like true top level play, and people will actually delay the spikes pretty hard. People will buy like a variety of different items in the early game, and they will not rush the gun spike or whatever. Which I think at more like medium high level, you'll see, I think probably more people being like, I must hit my efficiency spikes at like first priority, you know. And I think the reason they added them to the game was because basically the meta builds were becoming all in spirit plus vitality, or all in gun plus vitality. Like there was way less of building both gun and spirit because it was more efficient to be all in on one or the other. And so it actually limited the build freedom in the sense that like it's better to buy only spirit and go for the like hyper capped out spirit thing that you should like if you're not going to be doing late game gun damage, you should never buy a single gun item. So like 1/3 of the items in the game, don't buy them. Not going to work in your build. They're not efficient. And so now it's like, hey, it's efficient to grab to splash gun or spirit unless you're really all in committed to not doing it, which is still fine actually, and usually easier to build more intuitively because it's simpler to have one category excluded. But I think ultimately I actually kind of am in favor of it because there needed to be an encouragement to splash. Before it was too good to be all in either gun or spirit and to have no splashing. So you're just like, now your gun is irrelevant. You just shouldn't even give a shit about shooting your gun. Like as your pocket and you have a pure spirit pocket build, like literally don't shoot your gun. It's just a distraction. Like you only thing that matters is landing your skills. And it's like, yeah, but it kind of is weird to like take your gun out completely or vice versa. Your skills don't matter. Oh, it's only your gun now. You know, that's the defense of the.
I can understand that take,
spike.
but I also think it's like that's like an arbitrary distinction created only by the fact that the shop has decided to split them into these three categories, right? Because it's like, again, if you think about like Dota items, it's if you were a spellcaster, you build spellcasting items. You wouldn't be like, well, let me mix in the Daedalus on my my Zeus, so that just that I'm like critting every this is.
Yeah, but
like,
you might get a bracer.
Right, but now you have to get the bracer because like it's like otherwise I'm like
you could just get one bracer, right? You don't have to get
Yeah, so you can in Dota, but like here you have to get the 4.8k spike. Otherwise, it's like
not necessarily.
The argument, the better version of this argument, I think, is maybe a more comprehensive point, but I actually kind of would agree with you on, which is I think there's maybe an argument for getting rid of the investment bonuses. Like
yes,
just
that's what I mean.
On the items. Just put all the stats in the items, whatever they may be, and like don't give people a benefit for the investment. The downside of that is it like punishes you buying active items. It sort of punishes supporting in general because it's better. Like you don't get the damage unless you're really buying the damage items. So there could be maybe this is like over, but I think like ultimately the whole idea that you're getting a little bit of like pure spirit power from just like buying purple items is hard to like. I know personally, I rarely look at that. I like know some things about it, but I just generally understand the concept that like buying more spirit items makes my spirit power go up, and so I'll do that. But like, and I know the 4.8k spike, but I really don't think about it other than that. And so I think there's an argument that the items are complicated enough, and like your investment in the category doesn't necessarily need to matter. I don't know. I kind of don't agree with my own argument as I'm saying this, but I think if 4.8k is a problem, then the whole investment scheme.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. I'm highlighting the 4.8k to be like, I think it's all arbitrary, but I mean, I can definitely see the benefits, and I also understand very clearly why they did that. Like it's obvious that it's like we want you to not just buy
it's like themes
the one item,
well,
right?
History lesson. Did you know
right
that you used to only be able to buy 4 spirit items and 4 gun items and 4 vitality until you unlocked the variable ones?
That is true.
So clearly, did you know that?
I did not know that. I did not know that.
So there used to be 16 items. So you started with 12 and you had 4 of each, and then you had 4 variable ones. So at max you could have 8 of spirit, 8 of vitality, 8 of gun. That was so you like had to buy
you always
the
had to
items
buy 4
in those categories
or you're gonna have
that work for your build.
And within that, you can see clearly the dev ideology, right? It's like they want you to not just buy the one item, which if that's the case fundamentally, then fair enough. Like that's the decision they've made. It's like we want a game where people don't just buy the one type of item. For me personally, like, clearly the 4.8k spike thing is like a way of doing it that is meant to ease player, like, and all the good points you brought up. To me, I'm not convinced about. It feels more like a gimmick than a really like necessary part of the game. But I'm also like not so against it. I'm like I'm gonna stop playing Deadlock because they have this thing. Eskay, I want to give you the chance to chime in again. I know we kind of got into the weeds there. Any thoughts from your end?
Eskay builds left to right, head empty.
The chat again. The Eskay, the Chad, like the bar graph is just like I just buy the item, bro. I don't give a shit. Okay, that was one other. So that was one thing to earmark. Fitzy, did you have something to add? For I want to list another potential thing to discuss.
This was still on like the investment thing. I think it gives people direction, but also it's like a good snapshot going into like we're at 8 minutes or whatever, and you can kind of look across everybody and be like, they're gonna AFK farm, they're gonna fight, they're gonna da 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 da, and you can be like, what do I want to do with my team that I see the snapshot of like what we have chosen to best work for us. Whereas like if everyone's just kind of building, it's like, okay, we're at where it's like, bam, we're at this. We just hit a spike and it's time. And like personally, like I'm a spirit vitality person. I don't build much gun. It's pretty rare. But I'm like, all right, they have 0 greens. I'm going to kill them and hunt them down because I know they're trying to just either bully the lane or farm extremely fast. And it's somewhat relatable to Dota where it's like they have Battle Fury. I have uh Orchid, you know, like okay, we have this timing where they've gone greedy to farm and we've gone aggressive ganking whatever before they've either bought their BKB or they've bought their oh my god, what's it called? Manta.
Jake
so
knew.
you,
Jake
like,
knew.
you
He's like,
can-
I need that dispel. I need the
I know,
basic
I
dispel.
see it. I'm like, God, illusions. So like,
I'm like
so, like-
7.2k or something now, so I've been grinding.
so it gives you that window where it's like, not to say that the thresholds necessarily dictate that, but they kind of do, where it gives you like this interesting pacing in the middle of the game where it's like and you know that like your timing on the Orchid is like you got 10 minutes and you got to get shit done. Otherwise, you wasted your momentum. And now
Yeah.
what? Like you could have just got more.
They're gonna have
or...
the tool that protects them from your aggression.
Mm-hmm. And I will say the holistic argument that in lieu of a top-down view, which simplifies, because obviously the other thing in Dota is you could just click them very simply and see their HP roughly, or like it's much more intuitive because of the cameras are shared, right? Like you clicking their thing very quickly versus you clicking your own character is like a second and not difficult. So gauging someone's power level is much easier in a top-down MOBA game. So I actually think that that's a valid argument, which is that in lieu of that, having these categories that at a glance allow you to tell this person is at this stage roughly of their thing, because you're not going to be able to stop and look at their items in the same way. I think that's another valid argument for having the categories. It's just like it compensates for the flaw of having a
it's a very simplified way to understand what's this person's build. You don't have to look at all their items and know what they all are. You're like, that's a lot of gun and a bit of vitality. Like
you go bargo burr. So okay,
what's the threat from this guy? It's gonna be his gun, right? It's like Warden. Is this guy have a really strong? Do I care about his ulti? Maybe I don't care about his ulti much at all because he's all gun. Okay, so he's gonna be strong, but I don't need to worry about his spells. And like, that gives me to your point a surface level understanding, which is good enough for the average player to be like, back of the napkin, what does that guy do? Okay, he's a gun guy. That's a spirit guy. That guy's tanky. I should be maybe not try to kill him too much. He's going to be really hard to kill. Like fundamentals, like that's not far from the truth when people have those committed builds,
Yeah, and I think you guys are definitely selling me more than my personal experience when I was playing. Like I think you've sold me more on the various arguments for why it's helpful. I still think that other people will probably also be like, this shit feels like a gimmick, but I think that it also, there's no better solution that is obvious, right? Because like it clearly solves all these Fitzy.
Eskay, did you come in before or after the thresholds?
The threshold.
I build left to right.
So like, what you talking about,
the spikes.
Yeah,
the 4.8k spikes. Yeah.
Oh, I played a long time ago, but I don't know when they added those spikes, and I didn't know about them until recently.
So what's your thoughts on them? Like, are they
left or right?
Because like Jake and I have been, we've been around, we've seen it, and it's like, yeah, okay,
you
like
just
adjusted
different
it.
patches and
SVBs come in like, that's all I know. He doesn't know before time.
I see.
Eskay just doesn't know what the build is.
Eskay still doesn't know. Eskay still doesn't know.
I really do be building left to right, but I think as long as it adds more variety, like listening to you guys talk about it, I'm on the side of the spike. I don't like people just all in on purple and then get a little bit of green, like having
That's literally what I do.
think
Calm
about
down.
Kelvin. Having to think about that is cool. Like I've been playing some Yamato recently, And there's a Do build that's very interesting because he builds the gun spike. But then I have people in my chat being like, yeah, that the gun spike is so kappa, you're just wasting your soul. Like, what value do you even get? You could have Mystic Reverb right now, you fucking two-head. I'm like, sorry, I'm just building left to right. I kind of like this one. But
Can I just say, go
having
ahead,
that,
SK, you go.
having that variety, I think, is good. I like variety and thinking thoughts, except, well, okay, I guess I don't like thinking thoughts.
Thoughts are scary, to be fair. Yeah, existential thoughts. I was just gonna rant. I was like, "Fuck!" Like, I mean, on the one hand, shout out to the people in chat who helped me because I'm completely lost. But also, fuck the people in chat who just like, because like the debates that take place rage in my chat over which item to buy. Because you'll get like one guy who's like, "You have to buy this item, SCP. It's the item on this hero," and then the other guy's like, "This is fucking troll, dude. You're trolling your souls by buying this item." And you know, like a quick example, which is just like a well-intentioned member of my chat. Like I was playing Mina, and I was like, I think I need some sort of like lifesteal. What do I buy, chat? And he was like, oh, buy Vampiric Burst, and I just bought it. And then like, I got flamed by my team.
You're a vampire,
afterwards.
Of course.
They were like, hey, my Mina's buying Vampiric Burst, bro. They were like in all chat. They were in all chat. They're like, my Mina buying Vampiric Burst, bro. It's over, GG. And I'm like, what happened? And then I'm like, oh right, she doesn't actually do gun damage. It's that the spirit thing procs from her gun, so it's still spirit lifesteal that
You're a
need.
vampire. You need vampire burst, man. Like,
It should surely. Come on now, the logic should work. So it's just like you have to. Eskay, I've already learned. You just gotta ignore chat. You just gotta be like, shut up, guy. Thank you, but shut up. I'm just gonna do my own
Just
thing.
build left to right, SVB. Just build
I
left to
think
right.
Eskay's approach is actually, it's like really important for people to remember. Like, this is my argument for why the game is mostly a hero shooter, that like you can really just build left to right. Like, honestly, I think maybe E6 you probably need to start having like some better like game to game decisions on the build, but it might not even be that you built different items, you just build them in a different order. But like if you if you find a good build made by a really good player on the character, and at least if you just have a basic understanding, like if you build Imano with the gun spike, you're going to be fighting more earlier and trying to capitalize more than just on your power slash. And if you go pure spirit, you are just a power slash bot. And like neither of those decisions is wrong. It's just that like the better you are, being a better player means actually making that decision for yourself instead of letting the build do it. But realistically, if you just build the gun spike every game and you like fight earlier every game, and that's just how you play, you could easily get to like to the point where talking about your skill is irrelevant. If you're like a top 1% player, I'm like, look, we basically don't care about you anymore from the perspective of like, is the game accessible? If you can get to the top 1% doing it, it works for everybody. You just, let's forget about like the edge case players. So I think like left to righting builds, I think that's what almost every player should do as a beginner. Like left to right the build, and then once you play 10, 20, 30 games in the character, start to think, you know what? I know what the items in the build do, and I want this one earlier because I need it right now. I need to buy this counter spell right now because I really needed this game. And like, that's the only tweak you're going to make at game 30, you know, like you've been left to righting the whole time. And then now you just slightly, oh, I'm going to grab this item and this item first. I'm going to skip that item this game. I don't think we need it this game. Like those kinds of small tweaks, but that's like optimizing for the last 10%. You can get the 90% of the power left to righting, no thought. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. The game is more than complicated enough. You don't need to feel bad that you didn't like make your own build. Like the game has plenty for you to worry about. The
one sort of addendum I would add to that, and I think this again speaks to the you bring the skills into the game. Like I think Eskay is one of the most mechanically talented and like learning talented players that I've ever known in any game, like across genres, right? It's like Eskay will like mechanically grind the thing to death. But obviously, if you've never played a MOBA, you're not going to know, like, items, right? Whereas I think one thing that is helpful for me is actually, again, I'm a stubborn fuck, right? Like, I will be like, I don't think I should buy this item. This guy will be like, rank 1, you know, whatever, Haze, rank 1 Celeste. And I'm like, this dude doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't know about this item. And I actually think it's valuable to sometimes be like, I don't agree, and you don't buy the item. And then you learn afterwards why the item was in there. Like I had this happen where I was playing Warden and I was obstinate. I was like, nah, chat, I think when I max my cage, I don't need slowing hex. Like, I think I got this guy cooked. And it worked in like a shit lobby. And then I played a better lobby and they were just sprinting out of it, right? Their movement got better, So they were able to like do the movement tech or like not even tech, but like jump dash to get out of the range of the cage. And now I was like, okay, yeah, I think I see why the slowing hex is in the build now. Like I think I had to eat the humble pie. I think that's why it's there, and that was a bad call from me. Or same like with like I would try to bring like Dota principles into like M1 carries where I'm like, I think I should rush Ricochet, dude. Fuck everything else. I'm just going straight Ricochet. Like I'm gonna buy like
Calm down.
I'm gonna buy like 2 lane items, and I'm going straight Ricochet because I'll be in the jungle anyways. It don't matter. And then you're like, wow, I'm just doing air for like 15 minutes. Wow, this is by the time I get Ricochet, the game's over. I'm an AI. I'm like a creep on the map. Like this is not working.
Or Ricochet is not actually an efficient item until you have enough damage for it to be meaningful.
Exactly.
So
I think if you're like a different kind of person, and I also think it's helpful to learn the game. Like like that's how I'm learning what items are actually doing. Like it can be absolutely fine build left to right and learn the mechanics. But for me, it's also important personally to be like, I want to actually understand what these items are doing. So when I don't have them in the build, I actually understand better what it's lacking than when I do buy them. So 1 point on that.
And to add on that, even though you said like, oh yeah, I know what I did was a mistake, or I need to eat the humble pie, of like, if you can get away with it at lower ranks, like don't buy that item, like until you need to. Because somebody coming in and saying, you have to buy X item. Yeah, in the top 1% or in the top whatever, sure. Like it's a must have, but like at the end of the game, like it doesn't matter.
Dude,
7 people are gonna buy Battle Fury and Dota, and it's gonna work because you're in a shit lobby and everyone's farming, and like
I played like 10 games buying Counterspell and didn't use it once. Like I just like people.
There you go.
Best item in the game. And then every time I would die, and I'd be like, oh shit, I had Counterspell, didn't I? I had the fucking I should have parried. But I do think in the case of Counterspell, it's important to buy. I kept buying it anyways because like at some point I will learn, and I do need to learn to do it.
Yeah.
Like I will at some point.
I think that makes it a little harder too. Like something like active items. If you're like forgetting to use your active items, you're having trouble just pressing all your buttons. Maybe don't buy the active items, even if they're good. If you're not remembering to use them, like there are so many. I think the biggest thing we've been kind of hitting on a lot of different levels in this conversation is there are just so many mechanics all at once in Deadlock. I think the better way to approach the game, rather than trying to be like drink from the fire hose and do it all, is like number one, I would like find a couple heroes you resonate with and basically play them a bunch, and then learn things that like apply in other situations, right? Like you play a bunch of one character, you're going to get a feel for like the pressing your skills and fighting is going to start to feel really easy. You're like, I know how this character works, I know what the buttons do, and I know kind of when to do them and how to hit my shots with them, or how the bullet works, how the stamina feels, all these little things. And then once you get to that point, now you're like, you know what, I'm going to take things to the next level. I'm going to throw some active items on that character, and that I think could help me, and I understand how the thing works. It's like break things down. You're not going to learn the game in one game, like you're just play, just take the game as a game and just play, have the experience of it, let it overwhelm you and wash over you, and just do what you can. And it's an iterative process, right? And SUB comes to Deadlock and he's like, I have this Dota understanding, and I can think more critically about buying items, and that's going to be the way I express my skill. And then you're going to maybe learn some of the movement and the shooting mechanics over time as you progress. Where Eskay might come in and is like, oh, the moving and shooting feels really good. I'm just going to left to right builds and be a really good mover and shooter, and that's going to carry me. And eventually you'll hit some sort of cap and you'll be like, okay, it's time to start making better choices about the builds and thinking more about this. But by the time you hit that cap, you've had enough time where like, the game shouldn't feel so overwhelming anymore. Like every skill set of every different game is going to get you pretty far. And then by the time that skill set caps out, hopefully it's not going to feel as overwhelming anymore.
RIP to the people for whom Deadlock is their first game. You're in the shitter.
Okay. If you're 13, just play. You're going to be better than all of us in like 2 years.
Probably.
That's true. Oh, can I drop a counterspell tip? Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Go.
No, go for it.
Okay. If you find yourself never using counterspell and you're constantly getting hit by one thing like Lash Ult, you can close your eyes and imagine yourself getting lash ulted and then pressing the counterspell key. And if you just imagine the situation with the sound to bang, 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 press counterspell, and you'll do it when it happens to you. Your hand will just do it.
No, the Mind Palace is a crazy tip. I like that though.
Thank you.
Or you
Just
buy Indomitable.
I'm gonna use that as an
good.
excuse with my team when they flame me. I'm like, "Yo, Mind Palace guy, sorry, I'm just waiting for that ding ding. Don't shut up. I know I'm standing in the middle of the lane, not moving, but I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the
I'm
ding."
in my Mind Palace. I'm in my Mind Palace, guys. Chill.
I should clarify. I'm not a complete buffoon, guys. I should clarify that I got better. Okay, I do use counterspell now, and I do know that
Don't wait,
slide
it's for
slide gives you
everyone
infinite
that might be
ammo. I
watching.
got it. I'm not completely
One thing I've seen
trolling.
with pro players is like they will parry for when they know they've been caught by a team fight ult spell, like Lash ult, they will parry even though they don't have the counterspell item. Like it becomes
that
so
Yeah.
it becomes so muscle memory that you like try to parry things without counterspell. Once you know that's literally the only thing that can save you, even though obviously you don't have the fucking item, it's not gonna work because you don't have the item. But you know that you eventually all these tiny little things, right? It all builds and builds and builds. Like it might take you 100 games, and then it's gonna click, and then it's gonna be like, now I know how to use counterspell, and I'm better at it. And you're probably still gonna mess up sometimes, but that's the game, right? That's the fun of it. It's that it is a challenge that pushes you to your limit, and that like always asks you to be a little bit better than you are, which I think is sort of what games are, right? Like what's the reason we all play?
Yeah, I mean, I'm no pro, but I have gotten to that stage of counterspell now where I'm like doing it minute 5, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't have
I
counterspell.
hope you don't buy counterspell at minute 5.
No, I'm saying I don't have it. I'm not that again. I think I really, you know, I'm not that bad in this game.
Crazy.
I'm not bad.
Hard
Maybe
not
an Apollo. Maybe it's worth. I gotta experiment now. See, I gotta try that and then learn why I was so troll. Okay, so here's another thing I'm gonna throw at you guys. I got one minor complaint, one more big complaint. The
Can I interject one
objectives.
thing real
Oh,
quick,
go ahead,
real
Fitzy. Go, go.
Talking about builds left to right, blah blah blah. Knowing what your build is meant, like what you're supposed to do with your build, I think is something that's
True.
important. And I don't think a lot of builds tell you that. So
Mm.
not that it's something
Like-
that like a new player can really determine easily of like, oh, I'm getting, like you said, you know, the gun for Yamato and like going aggressive early is like some people build gun and then they sit in lane and do nothing with it. And it's like, so
Yeah.
picking a build, trying to figure out what kind of fits your style too. But yeah, pushing what you're supposed to be doing with the build. What's your objective?
Which
As
brings
a
me back to.
connoisseur
Oh, go ahead,
of head
Eskay.
empty left to right. Oops. As a connoisseur of head empty left to right, I will say I always read the stuff in the build so I can understand what I'm supposed to do with it. I just don't think about what other things I could buy. Mhm.
No, good point. And SK, you have God right in this call. So like when you speak, we will shut up. So that because you're the least yapper
I'm
amongst
bad
the three of
at-
us. The rest of us to be yapping. You get rights.
Thank you. I'm very bad at figuring out when I can talk without interrupting people.
Just do it. If you don't interrupt one of us, you're never gonna speak. So you just need to chime in on us. I was gonna say I was just gonna rant again. This is why Deadlock guide builders, for the love of God, please name your guys helpful shit and annotate it with helpful shit, not just like drifter, you know, abuse build, drifter, I'm a pedophile build. Like legit, this was like a build that just like would be on my thing, and then it's just like the annotations are just like bingus schmungus, this item good, and it's like, bro, please, like I'm trying to learn, help me make your guide more useful, and then I'll go watch your Twitch stream, okay? But like right now, please help me. So yes, please. There's a huge vacuum in the market.
What about the world's craziest pillow fight, but crazier?
Very illuminating. Really telling me what I'm doing with this hero. Very, very helpful. Thank you. 10 out of 10. No notes. Okay, so here's another complaint. The objectives, which is that like the game seems to reach. I don't know what it's like at the higher level, but at my level, in the mid game, it's just like, wow, we're just twiddling our fucking thumbs here, right? It's like mid boss is dead. Urn is it? You know. Firstly, people don't give a flying fuck about the urn, but let's say the urn has been delivered. There's
You have a
nothing
few
for
minutes
people
with
to do.
no urn. Yeah.
There's just like people are just twiddling their thumbs on the map. Nobody wants like either everybody's down mid every 2 seconds mid team fighting, or you know nobody's doing anything. It's just like we're just never seeing each other. We're all on our side of the map, And there's like this huge lull that occurs in the mid game. I think that there needs to be something to do, and it feels like Deadlock is lacking that something to do in the mid game. I don't know if this is true with the higher levels.
The
You're
Doom
doing
is stealing their
something.
farm.
Yeah, so
You're
I
also-
think this is actually go ahead, Fitzy.
I was just saying you're combating boredness. Who's gonna get bored first and overextend?
I
Let's
do
push. Let's push
think
for no reason.
yeah, even at the higher levels, people probably would agree with you actually that like we need a little bit more in the way of mid-game objectives. I think especially like the last walker, how tanky it becomes, it is like a very bad play to siege the last walker, like extraordinarily bad. Like you will lose the game if you try to do that bad. If the enemy team is defending, is not going to happen. You will all die and you lose the game because it's such a powerful buff for the enemy to fight by their walker, as well as the walker itself, adding a strategic like kind of a power play position for people to play from and be able to hide when people try to go on them. So yeah, I think that's actually not a crazy complaint. I think that's like quite seriously considered at the highest level that like we need one more like smaller than the mid boss, maybe like earn sized objective. Like you look at League, there's like Baron is the big boss and the Dragon is like the medium boss. That's still pretty important to take, but is not as doesn't like truly require the whole team or like yeah whatever. There's just more that can be done. I mean, I think people probably don't do the earn enough. I think partly the earn is I think the earn is a little bit problematic as an objective because it's like too scary for low level players. Because for low level players, it's like you take the earn and like now the enemy's there, you die, they do the earn, you get nothing. Like you did all the work and they get all the reward. It is a really big swing for them to be able to do that. And having all these negatives, it's like the earn hurts you a lot as an individual. Like you can't press your skills, you can't shoot your gun, you know, you have to drop the earn to do these things. The enemy sees you on the map. That's probably the biggest thing. They like wall hack you basically. They know exactly where you are, more or less. And you have a huge target on your back. So like it's a collective action problem. The highest level, people just understand, look, doing the earn is so powerful. We will just attempt it all the time. Like basically anyone who can pick up the earn will do it because it's just so good to do for your team. But I think lower levels, the collective action problems are a bigger issue where like nobody wants to be the guy running the earn. Other people are probably down to like team fight, but they don't want to hold the earn. That's like it's a lot of responsibility. It's risky. It makes you like makes it more likely that you have a bad game, even if it's still a good idea for your team. I think that is a so I think the more simple objectives, like whatever, if there's like some super big creep camp that gives like something more powerful, you know what I mean, like a dragon or whatever. That I think that would be good. But this is probably the most discussed complaint at the highest levels is we need more mid-game objectives to progress the game that coincide with buffs and earn.
Do you think that the objectives are to be used when you're in a lead? Or like, okay, you can't just turtle under your walker. You have to come get us. Or do you think they're just neutral, whatever? What do you what like what
I
is
mean,
the purpose of the objectives aside from progressing the game, which you could argue farming camps and earn and da.
I think it's like it's like a couple interconnected things. One is that the game ends up feeling in stasis, where it's like, what do we do? Right? It's like, what do we do as a team? Like the game is at this stage. Let's say we've killed all the walkers. You know, if we push the base, it's a troll. Like if 6 of us try and push the base, it's just obscenely hard.
So the correct answer, I would say there's an objectively correct answer to your question, which is take their farm. So that's the complicated. I think this is something that I actually think there's a big knowledge gap here is like not all camps are created equal, right? Not all medium creeps are like, let's say jungle creeps. Ignore lanes for a second. Not all jungle camps are created equal. Not just because obviously some of them are like big and worth more money and tankier and others are less and they're sinners and whatever, right? So there's like actually different creeps. But even if you took like 2 sinners, like a sinner in the enemy like doubles is a more valuable sinner for you to do than one on your side of the map. And it's even more valuable than your own sinner, which are because it is easier for your team to get the farm, it is less valuable for you to do it. You are accomplishing less on your map. Like you farming the most safe camp on your team side of the map is like the smallest contribution you can make, like in the farming world. If we only talk about farming camps, farming the most safe camp on the enemy side of the map is a very high impact play. Like that's a camp that the enemy was going to get 95% of the time. If you get that camp, that's crazy. The camp that's anything that's like over the river, so anything that's enemy sided, that the enemy is expected to get that camp. When you in fact get that camp or that creep or whatever, that last hit, you are that's like a meaningful advantage building moment. So the deeper into enemy territory you can invade, the bigger the rewards. But obviously there's a higher risk. The deeper you're invading, the enemy should have more resources to bring to bear. The position should be more favorable if they do catch you. So the problem is that there isn't a mathematical way to express that. It's like an intuitive sort of experience thing. And also it's less satisfying because it's more of like, if you successfully steal a little bit of farm for a long period of time, it will generate a meaningful lead, but there will never be like a moment where you did something big.
Well, see, that's like it's like a 2% swing, right? It's like I took this like little bit away from them.
There are lots of small marginal things that add up.
And then there's like the extreme end, which is like the Urn and the mid boss, and this leads to my other point, are like obscenely big swings. Like the mid boss, to me, feels like obscenely strong, as like potentially as compensation for the lack of other shit to do. Right? It's like it's just like what if you had 3 Aegises? Like forget one. What if 3 of you had an Aegis and like you just like you can hard
get an item slot.
And also,
and it's in the on the spot, not even
like
back in base.
All of you have the Aegis. There's nobody who doesn't have it. It's that like the first 3 people to die have it, which is like makes it even better that you can't just. I mean, it makes it better and worse in some ways, right? You could snipe weak players to take it, but whatever. I agree. The Aegis, the mid boss is incredibly, incredibly powerful, but I also think it kind of needs to be because number one, it needs to be powerful enough to make sieging good. I think Dota had this problem, not recently historically, but a long time ago. Dota had a problem where, I mean, sometimes it still does, where it's like, I'm gonna farm until I have a 50k gold lead, and now I'll end, and that would be like the equivalent of like 100k soul lead in Deadlock. It's like, okay, like there's like that is like mathematically correct, but giving you an incredibly powerful buff that is very time limited is a better way to incentivize ending the game versus the only way to get stronger is more marginal things. Like I think there's a good argument for the design of huge powerful thing that is limited.
SVB, quick
yeah, go ahead, Fitzy, go.
History lesson.
History lesson. You're the historian in the chat. I like
mid boss has changed. I'm just bringing up past stuff because
changed a lot. Yeah.
You used to essentially get mega creeps for what 5 minutes
for the duration of the rejuves.
Every hero that got it had like a 30% DPS increase or something. Like gun heroes just like
mega stat buff. Like you're
crazy.
You're god.
You had more regen. It's crazy. So like now is like a okay, we can
compared to that.
It's like the Aegis, but like a little bit better. But like before, it was like if they got mid boss, like it's over. Like you're not defending that
because the old mid boss was one thing. So it was like one last hit on the mid boss. You could not split it.
And on the other end, the steals on that. Oh my god! Like it was like you went from like we for sure win the game to like they might beat us. Like we're one person got in there. Whereas now it's like, oh, if we go for it, they steal it. Okay, we kill them.
1, we get 2. Yeah.
Even if they steal 2, you're like, well, they're dead because we decided to do this mid boss and we had an advantage, and like now we come out and it's a 6v3 and whatever, and you still get an advantage from it. Whereas before it was like it was a flip. Like there were sometimes those steals are crazy. But anyway,
which is definitely like a cool moment. I will before I go. I got 2 things. Oh,
I have one more.
Fitzy.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. We're talking about objectives and pushing and there being more to do. In Dota, not to always compare to Dota, but is there? I mean, a lot that you do. Like sometimes you would like, oh well, they've got black hole and the sniper. We can't really push into that. We need to farm the map and get Roche, and like there's that lull, right, where you're waiting. So I think personally, that's fine for me. Like I am fine with like we have a lead. You have to come stop us because we are going to win if you don't stop us. And that's like the mid boss is like making sure you can't turtle for free.
Okay, so real quick, there's loads of minutia I could get into because that is a specific thing I could really go in the deep dive of. I'm going to avoid going that deep dive. I'm going to go on 2 more surface level things. But before any of that, I'm going to let Bald K talk. Eskay.
To add to your point, I want to say, when people take mid boss, the team with the advantage, they'll run the urn, and then you don't want to contest it, right? Because like you'll lose the fight and then die, and then they take your base. So they run the urn, and then they take your walk or whatever, and then they push into your base. And if you somehow down 3 lives and down 50k souls or whatever, manage to kill all of them, you don't get anything because the urn's already been run. It's gonna spawn in like 3 more minutes, and all the waves are pushed into your base. So it feels impossible to come back from, and I don't like that.
Just steal the urn and then
So-
stall the push.
Okay, Doorman, Phantom Strike player.
So I mean, Eskay actually very, very astutely brings up the thing. One of the things I was going to say is that like now I have to list a few caveats before I go into this, which is that like one, there will always be noob problems, right? So like just because something is a problem at the average player's elo doesn't actually mean it's a problem that the game needs to address. It's like maybe that's just noobs being noob, and like actually learning this is part of how you climb out of that rank. So that's caveat number one. Caveat number two is just because I highlight a complaint doesn't actually mean the game needs to fundamentally change. Like every game will have a complaint. So it's like that's just how Deadlock is actually sometimes a valid answer. But as Eskay said, there's two of these problems. One is that sometimes when your team is down, it feels like there's very little you can do to turn it back for your team. And the related point is that sometimes I felt, especially as a new player coming in, and then the less you know, it's like Deadlock is too team reliant sometimes. It's like sometimes if they just like group up and do the thing, and you can't get your, glue sniffers to like get it together, and like, guys, can we please stop the urn? They're just running it. They got our comeback urn, running it inside our faces, and you please don't be across the map right now. Please come together. Like if you can't get people to come together, you lose, which some might say that's the game. It's a
What
team
has happened
game.
in Overwatch?
What do you mean? There's nothing else to do in Overwatch. You fight. That's it. Like
Yeah.
there's no
You
other
could be
objective.
flanking, you know?
But
That's
to
fair,
fight,
that's
right?
fair.
You're flanking to kill a guy.
That's
Like,
But yeah, if you're
not-
flanking and you're like not if you don't flank doesn't pop fast enough and the team is fighting, you're
Yeah.
griefing. Like you're gonna do nothing and lose. Like that, which is how that's a way to punish flanking is running it down. And like if you're on a long flank, you're doing nothing and we win. And so I do think, and this made me think about one thing, which to your point, Eskay, about comebacks, I think that's kind of at the center of a lot of these discussions of objectives, right? Is how easy should coming back be?
Mhm.
And about like leaving there still there should always be like a glimmer, right? Like there should always be a glimmer of hope. If you're not going to put a surrender in, which I agree that I don't think they should do, there should always be a glimmer. I think there's something that people don't know. I just pulled this up on the wiki because I was like, I don't know exactly what the numbers are currently. So I'm curious, SCB, if you knew about this. So there's a lot of ways that you get more souls when you're behind. You get explicit mechanical comeback money. So
Which happens in
there's-
Dota, correct? Like
yes,
similar.
for kills, but actually not in most things. Like the jungle creeps do not change. The lane creeps don't change.
Really, I don't know if I knew this happened in Deadlock. The creeps changed.
Yeah, so creeps change, urn changes.
Hmm.
I think there's even a drip feed. If you are like the brokest guy in the lobby, you just get like passive income.
That does it.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
so like I mean that's pretty
I'm
small.
always
but
getting that.
yeah, so all right, killing an enemy hero awards more souls if that hero is stronger than the killer team's average net worth. So if you kill a rich guy and that guy's richer than your team's average, you get more money. If the losing team gains up to 30% more souls from troopers, denizens, sinner sacrifices, and objectives based on how behind they are, peaks at 20% max net worth difference. So if you're at 20% net worth difference, there's some minor math caveats, like the first 3K of difference is ignored, so it doesn't actually affect the early game and stuff. But like later game, 3K is pretty insignificant. So if you have a 20% lead, like let's say you're at 200K and they're at 240K, which is like not an implausible sort of a lead scenario, you're getting 30% more from everything. Every creep wave that pushes into your base, you just get 30% more from that than the enemy team does. Every jungle camp, you could be doing, 40% of the jungle camps, they're doing 60, and you're actually getting more souls, despite the fact that the enemy is 60-40 dominating the map on you. That you're actually coming back slowly but surely from that game state. And the earn, obviously the earn drop off location changes. It's pretty meaningful, but the earn itself also has comeback souls. You get more when you're behind. So, you know, when I was thinking about this is like, none of these, like, I would guess that the average player has no fucking idea about that. The only way you would know
I
that is
didn't
if
know
you read
that.
the patch notes. Like, really, the only way you would know is if you actually read all the patch notes and, like, it is some arcane economy stuff. I think they should add something to the game that, like, number one, I think the fact that the earn difference isn't calculated for you is bad. They should just put that in the game. It should just tell you the earn's
They have the
advantage.
candles now. They're getting
Yeah,
there.
but only once the earn is down on the ground. So,
Yeah,
like, you
yeah.
don't, like, if it's close and you don't actually know, like, it gets really weird and complicated. I think the game should always tell you what the percentage net worth difference is. I think the game should even show you like a little, like, you're in super comeback mode. Like, you might be behind, but like you're getting max bonus now because you're far enough behind. Like, I think the game should be more like, this shouldn't be a secret. It shouldn't be something that you need to like read all the patch notes to know, oh, I'm getting a lot of comeback money. We can make, we like, there's genuine reason for hope that the only way to know is by being like a really nerdy and knowing all the details of the game. Like, why is the game hiding from you that there are hopeful things for you as a player that, like, you know, we're, and also for a team that's winning, it's like, hey, enemy team's on max comeback right now. That puts a little pressure on you. It's like, okay, like, you can just keep farming, but like, just so you know, enemy team's on max comeback right now. You might want to feel a little bit pressured to end. Like, I think that kind of a, just adding, like, not change the game at all, just tell people this is in fact the state of the game. Make it more like, that shouldn't be a freaking secret. You shouldn't be like pulling up the calculator or needing a mod to know that these things are the case, or reading all the patch notes to know about that. That mechanic is so significant. I feel like there should be a clear visual indicator that a absolute beginner can understand. I'm getting big comeback money plus 30%. I love money, you know, like, I think that needs to change. That's like a change that the game needs to, like,
Yeah,
make these existing systems understandable and at least make them explicit.
I
And
100%
they,
agree.
you know, they changed the mid boss respawn. You know, like they're definitely.
Yeah, yeah. The old mid boss had no timer before. You just had to time it, and
Yep. And did it even have like a buff on you? How long you had? It might have.
no, I didn't tell you how long it was either. You had to know that too. It
Yeah.
didn't have
It's
the
like it's
timer
about to run
buff.
out. We don't know.
Yeah,
In their
you're like,
base, about to run out. The Aegis has a timer, right?
yeah, now it does. It didn't for a
Yeah.
long time, right? And now
Yeah.
Roche has a timer. Like, Dota has added all these things because they realize, you know what? Having people type in chat about a timer is not
Ping the
actually
time,
like
yeah.
a great game mechanic.
Yep.
Technically, it's skill expression, but it's like, we don't need that skill expression. The game has enough skill expression. We don't need every last drop. We can make it accessible to new players.
So you might surprise you to know I did actually know about the comeback soul money because I haven't revealed to you. I am Rain Man and I've been counting all the souls. No, actually, some guy in chat told me. Some guy in chat was like, by the way, SUV, this is the thing. And I was like, oh shit, I do wish the game told me because I have no fucking. And like, again,
Like,
you can gripe about like what the game could or couldn't tell you because like, again, in Dota you get a very clear, if you kill a guy with a huge kill streak or like high net worth, you get like the, everybody sees like he just gave 1,000 gold away to the enemy team when he fed, you know, solo their carry. Whereas even when you kill a guy, unless you happen to track your net worth before and net worth after, you're just kind of like, oh, I have a lot of money now, like I guess I'll spend it on something. So I think there's something to be said, as you're alluding to, Jacob, the helping the player's psychology of understanding, hey, I can do this. I'll let you finish because I think you were going to say something and I want to add something as well.
no, I mean, I was gonna say is like, even me, I'm like a top few hundred player on NA, and like, I didn't know the actual numerical values on these. I knew that in principle that comeback souls exist, but I didn't know the numerical values. It's something that changes pretty often. I think that like is a pretty strong indicator that this should be made explicit for players and just made visual, or made like you press tab and you can see it. You know, just make this something where like it could be like obviously day one. Okay, you're not maybe gonna pay attention to that stuff, but like, if you play for a week or two, it should be like that kind of accessible, like a beginner, maybe just past a beginner kind of a player is like, I can understand what the game state is like.
Put a
Yeah, so-
fake surrender button in, and when they click it, it says, "Wait, wait,
Hold
you
on.
actually got comeback money right
Are
now."
you sure
It's
you
like-
want to surrender?
It keeps asking. You have to keep doing the vote, and it
Yeah.
keeps saying, "Are you sure?" You have to vote it over and over again.
It's
It does
basically like
nothing.
signing up to a subscription to some sort of service where it's like they make you jump through 10 hoops before you get to leave. You have to like, you need to call us at business hours before we let you cancel the subscription. So you have to like
Kill
do
10 creeps, then ask again.
exactly. See how much money you get from these creeps. The numbers pop up. I was just gonna say like,
I want to see if you kill a bag, if you steal a bag from someone, it just says so and so gave so and so 3,200 money, and like all the
It
people
is
that
what-
just go in, the carries that run in, they're like, I've only got one death. It's like, yeah, but you gave 2,500 souls to their carry, and now they're on us.
It is the swings and roundabouts because it is nice to hide your shame when you turbo feed and you just gave away a 1,400 bag. You're just like, I'm glad no one in my team has any idea how hard I just griefed. So that's nice. I was gonna say that again. This is not necessarily a thing the game has to do, but another thing on the whole comeback mechanic. And Eskay, I'm curious in your thoughts on this as well. When your team is just losing, you're in base. It feels as I feel like I want something that I can do as like a hero play, right? What you guys described as like the original mid boss feels like a slight hero play where it's like, oh, I can go and be the one who gets the one rejuve. I mean, you can still do that. You can still make like, you can steal one rejuve or like burn some of it. Like I did this just earlier today. Like I went in on Celeste. 2 guys were doing the mid boss. I killed both of them as soon as they got the rejuve, and I got one of the rejuves. So like they both died. They lost their instant rejuves, and I died. So it's like, okay, I neutralized that objective, but it feels like there's very little you can do to be like, let me try and swing this for my team, because it's like it's hard to get out on the map. It's really hard to come back. Like again, all I know is Dota, so I don't want to turn everything into Dota, but it's like if you're in Dota and you go all the way to the other side there, you can just teleport scroll back in 2 seconds. Like literally it's like you blinked to cover or just hide in the trees, and in 2 seconds you're back in your base. In Deadlock, if you haven't pushed the lane creeps out to your zip line, you're never getting back home. And if you any attempt to get back home, you're gonna get seen from, you know, across the globe. They can see you like, oh, there he is on the map he showed for 1 second, go fucking hunt him and his family, right? So it is like, some people will say we like that Deadlock is so team centric, but I would quite like some pop-off thing that I can do when my team is getting fucked, because like realistically you're just not delivering the comeback earn if your team don't want a 6-man with you. Like you're just turbo feeding it to them because they see exactly where you are. 2 of them wait, you're fucked, and you gave them the comeback earn and you double punish your team. Before I let the veterans reply, Eskay, any thoughts from your end?
I think the answer to this is very skill level dependent, and I don't quite know the answer. Like when you're in like ascendant or below, people will tend to forget the urn exists, and if you're aware of the map timers, you can usually pick up the comeback urn for free. And whether or not you can deliver it, just holding it in your spawn is enough to prevent them from getting it, which can be good. But also, that's not much. It doesn't feel very heroic because you're just standing AFK and spawn with an urn. But what I noticed when I get in like really high level lobbies and we're down a lot of souls, people will just keep fighting like we're not down a lot of souls, or they'll just like go in and try to kill. In like Eternus 1 or Eternus 3, what we tend to do when we're down a lot is like, oh, we shouldn't fight at all because if we fight, they're gonna kill us. But then we kind of just slowly bleed to death. Mm, but in the E6 lobbies I was playing in, people were just fighting in the hopes of like any chance of making a swing by killing them. But I do agree. It feels kind of hopeless if your team is lost and you're not the one that has a gajillion souls. So, yeah.
You know, I think there's like 2 different scenarios that are worth thinking about here. One is the scenario in which you're simply down economically and maybe you have some objectives down. In which case I think Eskay is exactly right that like this is the higher level play that people don't realize is like you could be down, let's say like 5-10%, and maybe it's like 10-20 souls and like 20,000 souls. I mean, and as long as you take good fights, you can win those fights. Like if you think about the game as a hero shooter, you're like, if we have strong positions for our players, depending on who they are and where they want to be based on their character, you know what I mean? Like if we can like bait them to chase Victor into the small room and like help him, like you can absolutely win that fight, right? Or if you get your whatever it is, like whatever your impact thing on the team is, that farmed Wraith. If you can take a fight where like Wraith has a good position to shoot, everyone else is like fighting and making space for them, like you could win that fight, right? If you're playing well, and I think that's something that you'll see in high rank. I do think even in the highest rank, if the enemy gets a clean rejuve on you, legitimately you're supposed to stay in the base. Like, or basically, like if the enemy is really bad and they like show fully split on the map, you could go kill somebody like running at them as 6. But honestly, at the highest level, people are too smart for that and they like won't get caught like that. And genuinely, you're supposed to sit in the base, clear the waves as they come in, and like the enemy is also going to attack you. They're going to try and take your shrines. And once the enemy has a clean triple rejuve plus soul lead, you're just hoping the game doesn't end right now. Like you're hoping you can like defend the patron. You might even need to lose the first layer patron to get a fast spawn to actually hold. And honestly, the game is like, 90-10. You already lost that game, right? Like realistically, you're so screwed. There's not really comeback. So I think SK's actually, it's good to highlight this, that people overestimate how important the economy is in the mid game, where like you could be down souls, but if you get a good fight or you get a number advantage fight, like, hey, that guy, they're showing people on two opposite sides of the map. We can go run at somebody if we have we have a small numbers advantage. We have +1 or +2 guys here. We are stronger, even with the current soul status. Let's try. And at E6, people will like aggressively look for those opportunities. That's the guy will show on the lane and you'll be like, okay, he's probably going to go hit this camp. We're going to go collapse and gamble, run 4 people at this camp. And if we gamble right, we're going to come back and we'll keep looking for those chances to gamble. Which is, I think, people don't do that enough at lower ranks because they don't understand enough about how to get that little player advantage in a small fight. However, I think holding the earn-in base legitimately is a good strategy. I think that's really problematic. Hard AFKing to defend when the enemy has triple rejuve. Also, I think objectively the right move. Like it's what I would do if in that scenario the enemy has clean triple rejuve plus big lead. I'm AFK and I'm just trying to defend and use the fountain to heal and grind their resources down. Like that's the only thing you have left. Both of those scenarios, I think, feel terrible that that's the right thing to do.
But
it's
when
also
it
a scenario
works,
yeah, it's true. It's true. It's also a scenario in which realistically the game is like 90% over. Like you are so unfavored to win at that point. I don't know that the devs should be super worried about it because it's like, look, that's supposed to be a 1 in 10 to win. It's not supposed to be some go make a big play and hit a headshot. It's supposed to be like you get a 5-man ult. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing that is the hero play. And some characters aren't heroes. They don't have a huge team fight ult that can get the crazy value that brings the game back. Sometimes you don't even have one on your team. And frankly, you lost unless they dive your fountain. It's over.
and
Yeah, and go ahead, Fitzy.
to
You
ask all of you guys of like, I mean, we're talking about comeback here. First of all, I'll ask just Eskay and SVB. Does the comeback, do you think it's too easy to come back or too hard to come back? Just
Eskay, you go first.
Oh gosh. See,
If you'd rather
I
I
have a
go
hard
first, I can
time.
go first. But
No. Time wouldn't help. I have a hard time answering these kinds of things because I always assume I have the mindset that
you're
my
on the losing
issue is
end.
with my skill, and if I was
Yep.
better, then it would be acceptable. Like I find
This
it
is why
very
SK
difficult
is
to
high
come
rank
back.
in
It's
every game
annoying,
because this is the
but
high
I
rank
think
mindset.
I'm just trash. Yeah.
legit, SK is like, my issue is that I'm just the GOAT and just like alpha elite mentality. That's
No.
my issue.
Well, it's also like it's a developer level question rather than a player level question. Like as a player, you're like, when I'm behind, I wish it was easier to come back.
So,
and when
yeah,
I'm ahead,
so-
I wish it was harder.
Yeah.
So,
it's
yeah.
like, as a player,
I
you
think
can't answer honestly in one game. You have to take a broader,
I think
artistic approach.
that would have been roughly my answer to Fitzy as well, because you asked Fitzy, which is like, how do I feel? I would have said that like in some games it feels really easy, in some games it feels really like impossible. And obviously, again, you do need to remember being on the other side of the coin, right? It would feel terrible and does feel terrible when you're dominating and then one guy throws. But that, I think that's also why I was kind of bringing up the objective thing earlier, which is that it feels like very lopsided, because like you will sometimes have a game where it's like it's actually kind of even, and then like 2 guys die 30 seconds before mid boss. Like it's happened like multiple games where it's just like the game is in like a stasis state, it's relatively equal, and then like because people are dumb in my elo, right, and they don't actually necessarily know mid boss is coming, but like it happened in multiple times where like the guy dies and then it's like mid boss has arrived, and it was like, oh, I guess we should go do mid boss then, and then they do mid boss and it's over. Like the game has completely gone because 2 guys decided to troll at the wrong time, and now you cannot overcome this 4v6, right? Like it's just impossible.
Were you ahead or were you behind?
Even, like I'm saying, this is like the game state is relatively
even.
So like that's a really huge swing off of like a relatively minor mistake from 2 people, let's say. So I think the answer is that it's like, again, it's probably just because it's a dumb lobby, dumb shit happens all the time. So like the true answer is actually maybe it's fine, but like shrug.
I think it's in a good spot comeback wise. Like it feels like if you're, I don't know right now with the trophy collector thing. That's a whole other like economy
Yeah, I think
thrown
you've
in.
put the
Like it's
current meta on an asterisk with
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Ignore the current trophy collector thing. But before that, like you can be ahead enough, and like they can have like I'm like if there's comeback earn, I'm grabbing that. Like it does not matter if it's mine or theirs. If you are ahead enough for it to be comeback earn, you should be taking that most of the time, in my eyes. Obviously, there's
I think it's
power
at the
spikes
highest
and alt
level.
economy and
It's fair
da.
to say you should literally always try to pick up the earn unless
Yeah,
going there is suicide. Unless it's impossible to successfully do it. Like, wow, the enemy has 6 heroes on the earn. I'm alone. Okay, yeah, maybe don't run in. But for a more general objective perspective, I think you're right. You should always pick up the earn. It is always good to control the objective.
but in terms of the comeback, like, I mean, I felt like again, not to compare to always compare to Dota. Obviously, in Overwatch, like at any point, boom, you can just either at worst tie, right? And that's what I loved about Overwatch was that at any point in the game, you can be, they cap 3 on King's Row with 4 minutes, and you can still win the game if you lock in. Like,
And it's
doesn't
not that
matter, wipe
implausible
it.
either. It's not 1 in 100. It's like
Mhm.
worst case
Right,
scenario
right,
is like
right.
1 in 5. Like
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, and if you're behind in Dota, like yeah, you're kind of locked in a game where you're struggling for like 30 minutes. You're just like, we've done everything we can, and it's still it's just like we're barely hanging on. I think the comeback's good. Obviously, it's very coming from different games. I mean, I know I play with some people who like play League of Legends and whatnot, and like Smite and stuff, and like comeback is like that's not possible. Like just if they're ahead 10%, the game's over. Like just period. And so I think it's in a good spot. But also, as to what we were saying, where it is supposed to be a 1 to 10 scenario for like, yeah, if we won for 30 minutes straight, you shouldn't just get a 50% chance of winning the game. Like, we're ahead. We did so many things correct. And, like we shouldn't just toss it on one little thing. There should be like 2 fights, 3 fights that like you really messed up. Which is good because it gives that chance to come back, but it also gives the like, okay guys, let's have a nice clean finish here. We're doing good. Just keep it together. So yeah, I guess that's my stance on the comeback is that I think it's in a good spot. Again, barring the whole trophy collector thing, because yeah, if you get ahead on that and you have the trophy collector souls income, you're just like, all right, well, we just sit here and we have more money than you. It doesn't matter. We don't do anything. There was one other thing I was going to say about the urn or something. I don't remember. Continue.
Well, if it comes to you, feel free to interject.
Yeah.
I'll move it along because this was a very helpful discussion. And again, my job as moderator is to throw problems at you, and you guys deliberate. Yeah, Fitzy.
Split pushing. Also like objective, like, I mean, we really don't see. Oh, sorry, I got it. The split pushing is one thing, but also the zipline movement is something big that's very different from Dota, and that's just the movement around the map. Dota, you have the 1 TP, boom, you get over there, cool, 60-second cooldown. Zip, you're like, you're over there. All right, let's defend that. So like, I don't want to say that if anything, like zipline could be nerfed in some capacity, but like it feels like you can't make that. Oh, we have a 2v1 because now it's a 2v6 in about 4 seconds because everybody showed up on the zipline and you have no way to escape because you have no TP. Whereas in Dota, like, like, hey, let's 2v1 this guy. Oh, they got us. BKB TP, we're gone. And like you have those plays to make those plays where someone's caught out being greedy farming or whatnot. But I think a zipline kind of stops a lot of that. I don't know. I'm curious.
yeah, like you really can't farm out of that, like away from your zips. Like if you don't have a zip back to base and you're farming the jungle, it's like you are doing some crazy moves right now. Like that is so, especially because of the having the jungle bag that you drop if you get killed. So like you just did that farming for the enemy. There's all these scary, problems with it. I do think though it might get problematic in Deadlock if you really could efficiently farm the enemy jungle and like slip away and not get punished for it because like
For
that
sure,
might be too
for
good
sure. I
with
mean,
how the movement is in the game.
and they've done that with like the
The old
jump pads.
teleporters and stuff. Yeah, that's true. The
where they
padding is
made
like not
yep.
pads used to be so good at getting you out. Now there's okay, it's not gonna be that broken
I mean,
anymore.
it went from okay, now you take the damage, now you get stunned, now you're dropping to the ground and taking damage and getting stunned. So I think they're aware of it for sure. Yeah.
And again, it's also like different games manifest differently. So again, I think obviously, and I apologize to SK and any listeners, like Jake, Fitzy, and I, we only know Dota. It's like you showed this child only, ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. Like everything's a hammer to a nail, right? Like
I
we
think,
grew
though,
up and we're just like,
the
this is
game
our approach.
I think a lot of the team is probably from the Dota team. I think it's a
Valve.
Valve game with MOBA,
Right.
like huge MOBA elements. So I think a lot of the comparisons to Dota are like pretty obvious in my eyes. Like,
Yes.
if you play both games, you're like, well, this is in many ways a spiritual, not successor because it's such a different game, but it's pretty obvious that they like took a lot of inspiration from things in Dota 2, like as you know,
As anyone
in-
should.
in design. Because I agree, Dota's a beautiful game, but it is funny if people have never played Dota. They're like, "What are you talking about? What's that game?"
Right.
But if you play Dota, go play 1,000 hours of Dota, and you'll see it's quite similar.
Just easy ass. Go play 1,000 hours. Come back. No, but again, it's like
it's gonna be so fun. You're gonna love it. The people are very friendly to beginners.
especially in the US, like the Russians are very lovely people.
Russians are the kind.
They're just very welcoming to your mistakes. And I was just gonna say, like, ultimately the thing with the MOBA genre is that like certain things are just solved, and games that have come and tried to iterate on them have failed. Like if they try to remove a certain fundamental, they have failed for that reason that like the work has been already put in. It's like people have tried. This is not a new genre. People have tried to reinvent the wheel. And actually, Deadlock has done a really good job of reinventing certain wheels and actually adding some radically different mechanics. And with that comes certain pain points again, because in my mind, and again, I have to acknowledge this bias where it's like in my mind, I'm like, oh, the Dota play used to go in their like side of the map, bait out someone, and then TP back to base. But it's like, oh shit, no zip, hard trolling. Like I'm just giga trolling this game. So, anyways, one last complaint I want to bring up, unless you guys have anything else before we move on to other past parts of the game. She can head no. I think it should be fairly quick because I think this will be almost certainly addressed by the time the game launches. I hate being a solo queue player and going up against a duo lane who are like duo queued. It is infuriatingly obnoxious to be like, you're playing with your rando, he's just like, God knows what. And then these two guys are just like, tag team hound this guy, he owes us money, go on him right now. Like I'm gonna parry, you punch. Like it's just like, it's like an exponentially difficult experience in the laning phase, which ultimately is a small complaint, but I hate it. And there would be nice to have a solo queue. Yes. It'd be nice to have a solo queue only option, basically.
I find that super interesting because I've never noticed if the people I'm playing against are do it or not. Like
to me, it's fairly obvious where it's like they both moved to this, like they both moved to the right hand side and they both collapse on this one thing. There's no way they did that. Maybe again because your players are better, so they're like naturally doing the right things. Where it's like my guy's like staring at the wall in between the downtime, and then these guys are just like, they're taking our camps, my guy. They're taking our camps. Like please.
Yeah.
Okay, have you ever seen someone overextend and their other person's buying?
A lot.
That's not a duo.
I'm the person bot.
Like, I think this is a bit of a skill thing too, because I think it's probably more of an issue at lower ranks, right? Because I think in the very high rank, it's like I just solo queue only virtually, and like I'm always buying it. I'm always like aware that my laning mate is like buying, and I'm gonna buy. We're almost always buying at the same time because we both understand we need to buy as soon as we get the souls most of the time, unless we're doing saving for something, whatever. Most of the time we're buying at the same time. But if I'm not buying, I like know that they're buying. I'm watching not just what the enemies are doing in the creeps, but I'm also watching my ally, maybe most of all. And we're probably going to be talking too, because high rank, we're probably going to be calming in the lane, at least to some extent, like, oh, we can go on this guy, or I just got to play chill. I do think the real solution to this for the average player who's like experiencing that, like, especially because a lot of times people duo and then they do like some like killer lane. They do like some lane that's designed to go kill the enemy and is like, and like what you need to do is just like understand when you're against lanes with kill threat that you're like, these two heroes have like Vindicta Abrams is like one of the classics where like Vindicta stakes you and Abrams gets a pin on you and you're dead. Like Abrams is a strong frontliner, so he bullies you, and then Vin has a lot of space. It's a very good lane.
Warden Cage.
Yeah, exactly. Like these are good lanes, but like what you need to do against them is like play in really conservative positions and just shoot creeps. Like, it's very, very hard in Deadlock to dominate a lane that the enemy is not trying to really kill you in. Like, if you play against a lane that has kill threat and you just like literally AFK on your tower and then like shoot creeps as much as you can and you don't even try shooting the enemy hero, you let them sit off full HP the whole game and you just don't care and you just play for your own safety, it is extremely hard to take your tower like that. If you have any amount of wave clear, like use your nukes on the creeps, kill the creeps faster. Like if it's a lane that you can't fight in, or you see that they're duoed, or it's whatever, for whatever reason, it's a strong lane, whether it's coordination or heroes or whatever, you just need to basically adopt a very conservative stance where your whole objective is killing the enemy troopers and last hitting souls. That's the only thing you do in the lane. You don't need to shoot the enemy heroes in the lane. It's not necessary. If they're full HP, all the regen they have is a complete waste. They're getting nothing out of it. And whereas you're getting all this regen off the heals and the creeps and stuff. So basically all that to say is you don't have to fight in the lane. You don't have to fight enemy heroes in the lane. Not really. Really, really good players will exploit you, and they'll start the way they exploit that is they start leaving the lane and ganking other lanes. But honestly, that's probably not happening up to like until you get to the very high skill level. So I think to bridge that gap when you're in the level where like, oh, we always lane and like these lanes are killing me, is like play very conservatively in the lane and tell your lane partner that that's your plan so that they're on this. And if they feed, then
Sometimes
just don't
no
care.
care,
If
but-
they feed, no cares. You just stop feeding. You lose your guardian. Also, don't care. And I just chill and farm. If your game is good, you will do fine. Like that's for the average player. Like you just do your best to hold the guardian, and then when the guardian's gonna die, give it up and don't die while the guardian. Don't let them get hero kills on top of it. And then realistically, the game is like it's just not that big of a deal for them to dominate the lane and it's a really big deal if you feed. That is a big, because then not only are they rich, but you are piss poor. If they're a little richer and you're still doing okay, it's just not that big of a deal that you lose the tower. It's just when you feed that it's a big deal.
Yeah, and
That's
again,
my-
like
that's
the
the advice.
comeback earn.
Yeah,
Well-
like play for the comeback earn, or just comeback souls, or just kills,
Yeah.
or just farm.
so again, you know, as a new player, it's frustrating. As a mobile player, it actually doesn't bother me because I know that like I've had so many games where I'm like, my lane is just griefed, but it doesn't matter. Like in 5 minutes, it won't matter. Like I will have caught up in
Yeah,
net
like
worth.
you'll
But
yeah.
I think that's only because I have that like MOBA instinct where I'm like, the laning phase in this case doesn't even matter. What I'm trying to highlight is how frustrating it is as a laning experience to be like, I'm solo queue. These guys are very clearly coordinating, right? It's just like it's very obvious, and I think it's like undeniable when you can see it, where it's like they're just doing the thing together, and we're just not. And
I'd
I
argue
think
that like basically every team shooter has had this problem. I think this is like just as much of a problem in games like Overwatch too. It's like if people you can try to coordinate with other people as much as a duo does by still voice comming with them, but if you're not, like coordination is good. Coordination makes you stronger. It makes you better. It makes your team do better. And if you do that, if you party with somebody who you know you're going to be coordinated with, you're going to be better. And they basically have to have like matchmaking penalties to make it balanced. Like,
well,
that's
you
what
can
Overwatch is,
you can
right?
just
Like,
have a solo queue only queue as well.
SCB, I'll do it with you, okay? If we
Sounds
gotta
good.
solve
true,
it,
but I think
Smurf.
the solo queue is it's just like a bad solution because it makes queue times worse. It splits the pool. It's like
Yeah.
it's a problematic solution. Like it causes other issues. Like it fixes the issue
It
of
does.
that's not fair. I want to play solo, but as a solo player, it's gonna fuck queue times. And realistically, for modern games, like that's so important.
would it help you if you knew that they were duoed and who was queued?
Possibly, I
that
think
would
it's
be a good mitigate.
I think it's one of those.
Something.
It's like in Overwatch. Oh, back in the day when you knew we were against a 6-stack and you were like, lock the fuck in, fellas.
Lock
Like
in.
this is
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is a
yeah.
game. This is a game. You know, like I think it would actually be helpful to know that like, okay, those guys are duo, dude. Like we can't troll this lane. Like let's just chill. Although
That's
again,
would it
that being
help-
said,
Fitzy,
I don't speak Russian, so I'm not. Most of the time, my lane partner don't know shit. So,
But you could know.
But he
Like,
would
hey,
know.
look,
He would see.
look,
He would see
look,
the icon.
Look,
He
they
would see
got
the
they got a
icon.
duo. We
Yeah,
gotta watch
yeah.
out.
I think
He
it's a
would
good
see
point.
the
It comes down
icon.
to like more ways for there to be like accessible information to players to like make
Yep.
things less arcane.
I think
Also, the
other
pause
one,
lock at the start
showing-
of the game.
5 minutes. Give us 5. Give us 5. Then you can pause. Dota got rid of that, right? You can't pause the first
Yeah,
5
I
minutes.
think it's
Yeah, in the
first
early
3,
minutes.
something like that. A couple minutes. I don't know. There's some amount
It
you
was
can't
it
pause.
was a this is alpha. People are dropping.
I will
excuse.
say,
So
Deadlock has no queue accept. Right? It
Yes,
just
that's
pops.
just it would be a really
So,
simple solution.
It's like in Dota, I think there's an argument like, look, yeah, there's no pause at the start of the game because you all click the button that said accept. In Deadlock, you can have a 10-minute queue. I guess you have to be not AFK for more than like, I don't know when
Yeah.
the AFK timer comes up, like a minute or 2 or something when you have to move your mouse. I'm always like watching YouTube videos and queue and I'm like, oh god, I got AFK'd. Like,
yeah, man, this queue's taking forever. What's going on?
it's like, oh, I've just been watching YouTube for 30 minutes with a Deadlock client open.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think having the rank and giving information. 'Cause
Visible rank,
I
invisible.
I hated that they took that away from Overwatch because like you queue in the morning and it's like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm the highest ranked player and their highest ranked player is a Widow. I have to deal with her because I know my teammates are gonna die on repeat, and it's like, if as long as you know, like, oh, this is their good player, okay, I know how to. In Eskay, even that like the tournament we played, like knowing which players were good and which were not as
Mhm.
good, like you could like abuse that, but also know like the weaker players would be like, don't contest that. I know it looks even, but they are going to outplay the shit out of you, like.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
definitely since there's like no restriction on who you can duo with, I don't think
I think
True.
there's any restriction.
E6 you cannot duo anymore, maybe, or something like that. I know there's
Really?
some restrictions,
Okay.
yeah, but I believe it is
Okay,
literally
so
E6 only that has a restriction.
I was
I
gonna
don't know.
say so less than the 0.1%,
Yeah, it's some
like if an
marginal
Eternus 5
thing.
can queue with a bronze 1,
Yeah.
like
That's super
if
problematic.
you get in a lane and then swap, and it's like,
Oh my gosh, I went against a
where's the
stack that
cup?
did that.
Where'd they go? I don't know.
Yeah, we were practicing for the Creator Cup, and we had a
Uh-huh.
brand new player and like a really low player, and we queued into another 6-stack with the same spread as us, and they swapped their Eternus players into our new lane so they could stomp them and get fed. It was so cringe.
But then didn't your Eternus players have a free lane? Or?
Yeah, we
But
stomped them too.
So
maybe
it's like
your
But we didn't
heroes
know.
weren't as good
The thing
at
is, we didn't
snowballing.
know.
or if
We
like
didn't
you're not
know
playing
that it was
carry
gonna
and
be easy.
you're getting fed on the strong
A
player.
whole other
and-
metagame.
Yeah, and we weren't. Yeah, they
Yep.
were playing like Wraith 7. It was like, okay.
Okay, so first question I gotta ask is that do any of you guys have a hard time limit coming up? Because I want to be respectful of your time. You know, I actually had other
I do have
topics.
another call to jump on too, so
I'm very
soonish.
hungry.
So
Okay,
I
so-
would like to wrap up soon.
That's why I asked, because you know I actually had scheduled other topics to discuss, but we've sort of I've done this long enough to know that you can have 10 topics, but then like on topic 3 people get like, I need to talk about this, which I was doing a lot, to be fair, so you end up going, you know, into a different area. So
Okay,
with that,
conversation's good. That's conversation.
exactly,
Good.
it's good. It means there's room for more podcasts on Deadlock later, because we actually have lots of things. And some guy in chat is writing the comment right now, or some guy in the YouTube comments right now is like, why didn't you talk about this? This is the reason, my guy. I'm sorry. We liked talking about stuff. We like talking. We didn't get to the topic you wanted to discuss. I apologize. We'll try and get to that in a future podcast potentially. So with that in mind, I will then bring it to the concluding section, and I'll just ask, as I always like to do, we always like to ask about like the future, right? Like what are we looking forward to? What's going to happen? So let's say that Deadlock says in 1 month's time, we're going to release. What do you want to see from now to then? The game like doing, changing, adding. I'll go with Fitzy first. Fitzy, what do you want like a month's time? What's coming?
Okay, we got to have another set of heroes because they for sure would do that with a launch, you know. Yeah, I think the some amount of draft, just a baby draft, doesn't have to have full roll queue, just like, yeah, just a little bit of draft, you know. And marketing, I don't easy to invite people, you know, obviously no invites. Yeah, I mean that'd be pretty good. Just yeah.
So you're largely
Balance
satisfied
game-wise.
with the game.
Yeah, I mean I think they are capable of making good moves, and much that I love with Dota when there is a patch is there are baby patches afterwards that fix it. Unlike Overwatch, where it'd be like, here you go, you got this for 3 months. And it's like, well, there was a problem in the first day, so oh, there's no hero bans, we're screwed. Whereas like Dota, you know, here's 3 novels of notes. Okay, next day, here's a paragraph. Here's a you know, I'm confident in the dev team and the balance team of they seem very aware of what are issues. They seem very responsive relatively to the issues. And so I mean anything they do, I'm like, yeah, they're gonna fix it. They're gonna listen. And they've also been very receptive to like the community of just like, hey, this is kind of silly. We should add this. And someone's like, here's new Wraith because somebody decided cards of different values would be cool. And then we've got a new Wraith, you know, like there's, yeah. So I trust the dev team to make good changes balance wise.
That's good. Jake, how about you? What's your 1 month wish list?
I think everything Fitzy said, I'm totally on the same page with. I think one thing I think would be cool that I expect to see, I don't know if it's 1 month or like, I think it'll happen before launch, is I'd love to see a revamped mid boss that is like not a damage sponge plus single target DPS. Like I'd love, what if I want mid boss to like knock you around or
Roshan.
have some kind of a CC, right? Like I think like to make it more interesting to fight around, to make it more dynamic instead of just like a HP sink, which is basically what it is now. I think those kind of things would be cool. So I'd love to see that. And I'd love to see in that sort of applied across the jungle. Like I'd love to see the camps in the jungle be a little more unique and a little more interesting with a little more mechanics on them. Maybe you don't need it because the game has so much with the movement and stuff that we were talking about. So, but at least mid boss, I think mid boss could be way cooler, and I think that'd be a cool thing I'd like to see added.
That's very reasonable.
Maybe not called mid boss.
Yeah, I was also like, what is his name? What is mid boss?
He's like
what
a
is
swamp monster. Yeah.
It's like full. I mean, it literally is
like a placeholder. Name, so,
yes.
Yeah.
It's like the thing you call it where you're like
Roshan,
hero.
I want like you know.
Hey, we have
something.
new tier 3 guardians now. You know, they're working on it. They're getting there.
True. I mean, that's why I think this is really likely to happen. I'm not like complaining. I think it's. I expect something like that to happen before a major launch.
Eskay, how about you? What's your wish list?
I want skins and cinematics and more lore. And I want a progression system that rewards me for playing Mina for 1,000 hours with a cool badge that I can flex.
Dota has
and
that, so I think
cool
your
too.
odds are good. Your odds are very good. On that.
Yeah.
There's like a level 30 badge that takes, I don't know, 500 plus
Grandmaster
games
badge,
to get.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
The funny thing is,
something
even at
like
the
that.
pro level, those are relevant. Like you will legit see, like pro
There's
Dota
not
players
that-
do not have Grandmaster badges on like most of the heroes they play.
wow.
Like legit, they will like if a pro Dota player who literally they've spent like tens of thousands of hours on this game, if they lock in on a Grandmaster hero, you're like, yeah, this guy, he's good at this fucking hero. Whereas like a lot of the times they're like silver, you know, whatever the shiny diamond, you know, like so it's a legit metric.
Like
That's cool.
they very much understand that people are gonna go super hard, and they have rewards that take forever to get. You have like a custom voice line that you can only use if you're level 30. So
Ooh, that sounds
Oh yeah!
awesome.
Oh my God! The BM. I completely forgot to mention all the BMing that happens with Dota voice lines. Because
Eskay,
SK,
you can do like character
you can
voice lines.
yeah.
You can make
Your
character
characters
say
have
toxic
unique
stuff.
lines that you unlock as you spend more progression, and they're all BM based. They'll all be like, "Close one, almost got me," or like they'll be like, "Aw,
worse.
did I
Oh,
hurt your
wait, no,
feelings?"
couldn't.
Mina would be so good. Mina would be so good.
And there's
She's
like
already
laughs.
so
There's like
mean.
laughs you can do where you can be like, oh, like like dusky, like like this is like you're just trolling them fully hard. So, yeah, that would be funny. That would be very
That's
very funny.
awesome.
And the tips, the Dota Plus tips, where you can like tip, you can tip anyone in the game.
That's what Podslock is.
like,
Come on, that's what
with, like,
Podslock
The
is.
game needs a healthy outlet to avoid Podslock.
Exactly.
We need a healthy outlet for
So
friendly
basically,
and
there's like
funny
a
BM.
there's like a currency.
Commending them.
There's a currency
exactly,
like a that you can use to buy like certain things, not the cosmetic currency,
like basic
some,
skins. But
like really,
you can buy basic skins with it.
yeah, you can buy some basic skins and other like paraphernalia with it, and you can tip someone like 10 pennies for like just as a BM tool. Like they dive you and they fail, you just send a little tip. Everybody sees it on the thing, like tipped, SVB tipped Jake, And it's just like, it's the best way to tilt someone. Or you could tip your own teammate, which people usually do toxically. They're usually like, they died in their spawn. Tip them. Good shit, jackass. Like, thanks for throwing the game.
Sometimes you get the whole team to tip them.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's the
everybody
best.
tips
When
one
you're like,
guy.
everybody tip this guy right now. And you're just like, you know, somebody whiffs a really big ult. Like, imagine Dynamo gets a 0-man ult. While he's not even finished, send the 5 tips into him, right? He's still doing it. He's still there. 5 tips right now. So it's the potential is infinite for the hilarious PM. So, you know, that's my wish list. There you go. That's my wish list. The tips and the BM and the
BM
voice lines. Fitzy and I used to, when we duoed, we used to always have this problem because Fitzy was always like, just ignore it, SCP, just ignore it. And I was like, I gotta tip this guy, Fitzy. I gotta tip this guy. I gotta let him know. I gotta drop the question mark in chat.
We need his mental. He's gonna run it down. He's gonna delete his items.
I was
That
always
is
like, look,
something.
I won't tilt, they
Haven't
will.
seen.
That was my strat. It was like, I won't tilt, they will. Like, I will get this
But
guy
you're
to
our teammate. You can't tilt
cycle.
our teammate.
Sometimes the bigger victory is more important. Anyways, yeah, I think for me as a new player, I think probably, yeah, I mean, tutorial, obviously. And then I think another pass on some of these consistencies to like allow things to be intuitive for like a player to be like, okay, this is what I can interact with in this way. This is what I can't interact with this way. So I'm conscious you guys want to go. You got to go. So I will call it right there. And I will say thank you very much to Jake, Eskay, and Fitzy for a lovely call. The time flew by, and I had a blast talking about Deadlock with
Yay.
you guys. So thank you so much for your time and your insight. And yeah, it was just lovely seeing you guys as well. Nice to just hang out in a digital capacity, if nothing else. So yeah, is there anything else you guys want to say before I let you get going?
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Well, thanks, man.
Yay.
It was a pleasure. Well, until then, guys,
Yapping.
thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out.
Bye.